Hello, everyone. Sorry, I delayed the stream a few times. That was not my intention. The first time, I wasn't up for it. The second time I delayed it, something happened in my personal life. I don't want to discuss it personally. I'll discuss it at another time. So before I get to the meat of the topic, I'll just wait for people to show up. There's like 0 people watching right now, but that should change, hopefully. And if not, well, it won't stop me from talking about this subject because it's very important. It's it would be negligent for me not to talk about the ongoing fascism that's I'm not even going to say rising in America because saying it's rising, it's just like no. Saying it's rising, it's like okay, how is it rising? Saying it's like rising, it's like it's always been here. Hey, how you doing? I won't show my face simply because it kind of fucks with the bandwidth and with my stream, so I won't show my face on that particular one. Hey, Hey, Mass Panther, what's up? I know this is a topic that's getting tiring for people. I'm sorry. Talking about fascism is never pleasant. It's never pleasant talking about fascism. Just letting you know, Taknaman, that there's a time and place. I'm not talking about pop culture. Just letting you know. Now, before I get to the meat of this topic, I'm going to explain for those of you who are watching this like after the stream is over, why am I talking about this particular subject? Let's just call it the Florida effect because for those of you who aren't paying attention, school bannings of books are happening all over the country. I mean, anyone who's not been living under a rock knows what's been happening. For me, it was very negligent on my part not to actually talk about this because with a quick Google search, I found article after article after article after article about book bannings. And the city in Orange County that these bans are happening mostly is in Huntington Beach. And as someone that lived in Huntington Beach in the past, this is not shocking considering Huntington Beach is a fascist hellhole, honestly. There's a lot of fucking racists that live in Orange County, especially Huntington Beach. A lot of fucking Nazis live in that part of this county. And not to mention, it's not a surprise these articles are one fucking article after another. And I was going to read like a bunch of them, but every article was the same. And I felt it was redundant to read these articles. But as a whole, since this is a local issue, it's important that I talk about it. Yes, Orange County has a lot of Trumpers. Oh my fucking God. You have no idea how many Trumpers there are in fucking Orange County. I hate this fucking place. There are some areas that it's not as bad as others. As someone that's lived in multiple parts of Orange County, I can just tell you that much. Close to Mesa has a lot of Trump supporters. Newport is essentially as bad as Huntington Beach when it comes to not basically Nazis and freaking Orange, the city of Orange, where I used to live, which is the same way. A lot of Trumpers. There's barely any place in Orange County that isn't full of Trump supporters. It's conservative as fuck. Then again, I think calling it conservative is like, what the fuck is it? What does conservatism even mean these days? Well, I mean, seriously, what the fuck does it even mean to even use the word conservative? What the fuck are conservatives conserving? I don't even think they. I don't even think they actually even believe what they believe. Actually, the locals call Anaheim Anna Slime. That's just one word they use for it. I never heard Anna Crime. I've heard Anna Slime. Well, I never heard that one, Anna Crime. It's Anna Slime. It's what it's usually called by the locals that live in Anaheim or those who were from Anaheim. I lived in Anaheim at one point, so I could tell you that's a fucking shithole. As for what it's like, I haven't been in Anaheim and like at least lived there since like the late 2008. I just prefer to just call conservatives just fascists because that's exactly what they are. With the book banning, it's like, and I've read like the reasoning why they're pushing these bans, like sexually explicit material for children. It's like, what the fuck do you mean sexually explicit material? And they don't actually give examples. They don't give any concrete examples of children books that talk about sexually explicit content. What the fuck are you talking about? What is sexually explicit? It's like every single one of these examples I've found is the exact same. It's what? Because we acknowledge the existence of like of LGBTQ plus people. Is that fucking what's considered sexually explicit content? Is acknowledging that LGBTQ plus people exist? Yeah, Matt Walsh is disgusting. That guy is a ghoul. Then again, he can't. Then again, the very fact that these people are obsessed with children is sus in itself. It's like they're calling everybody else pedophiles when you have literal pedophiles fucking being obsessed with controlling children's what children are exposed to. They're obsessed with children's genitals. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, every single accusation from the right is a confession. It's like, how many of these anti-LGBTQ plus people have turned out to be pedophiles? How many of them turned out to be pedos? And well, if you look up the percentage, it's a pretty high percentage. Of course, it isn't just LGBTQ plus literature that they want to ban. They want to ban Holocaust related literature, which is wait. So you are basically pushing Holocaust denial. You're okay with Holocaust denial. That's what you're okay with. You're okay with pushing Holocaust denial. Good to know, because that's actually a thing in my area, by the way, of Holocaust, anything related to Holocaust being banned, anything related to history written by, um, anything written from the African, um, American perspective, that's being fucking considered for being banned. Anything that isn't cis white men is fucking being banned. It's like, what the fuck? Now, I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt like the Humanist Report is or some other stupid libtard. It's like, because I don't give them the benefit of the doubt. They know what they're fucking doing. They know perfectly well what they're doing. It is proven to be true. They're removing any literature related to the Holocaust. It's like, and we're at a time where Holocaust denials at an all-time high, and where anti-Semitism is on the fucking rise. And wait, I thought we were supposed to be learning about history or teaching history. No, they don't want to teach history. What they want is to control the kind of narratives that children are exposed to. Because remember, children are the future. They know this. So they want to control the future by controlling the past. If they can control the past with the kind of stuff that children are allowed to be exposed to, then they can have another generation of bigots. Ben Shapiro is a Zionist, and he said some pretty anti-Semitic things against Jewish people that don't vote Republican. So no, he's not. He wouldn't be really considered Jewish. He's a Zionist. If you were to talk to Orthodox Jews, they wouldn't consider him a Jew at all. Yeah, it is an alternate fact for their alternative reality. Because that's exactly what it is. Like the kind of propaganda these people push is no different than the kind of propaganda that the Nazis pushed in the 1930s. Like the parallels between the rise of the Nazis and the rise of these fucking neo-fascists in America is telling. Though that's why they don't want this history to be taught, because if people were to learn this history, then people would know that that these people are the very people that we fought against a century ago. Honestly, it's better that a Jew explains what Zionism is, because I'm not an expert on Zionism. I'm not an expert on Zionism. Actually, if you want it, it's better that you talk to a Jew about that. I'll give you a link actually to that video, because as someone that isn't a Jew, I'm not qualified to talk about it in depth. So I'll just give you a link and have an actual Jewish person explain themselves on what, just give me a second to explain what Zionism is and what it actually represents, because Zionism has nothing really to do with Judaism whatsoever. It really doesn't. It may claim that it's for Jews, but it really isn't, because most Jews do not support the existence of Israel, because the Zionist ideology is basically pro-Israel. Like if you support Israel's like occupation on Palestine, then you're a Zionist. If you don't, you're an anti-Zionist. Not to mention, they are notorious for attacking Orthodox Jews. Zionists are. Now, just give me a second as I'm trying to get the link to the video, because it's important that a Jew explains this, because I really cannot do that. I'm not qualified. Not saying that I could explain it, but considering the subject matter that I'm talking about now, I would not be able to talk about it well while focusing on the Florida effect around the country. So I'm just going to let a comrade of mine that's Jewish explain it for you, because they know far more on this subject than I do. So I'll give you a link, and for those of you who don't know, about what Zionism is, I'll give you a link to that as well. It is just letting you know, it's a really long video. It's over an hour, almost an hour and a half. Here's the link to the video. Attack of the Menace, and anybody else who wants to, who has questions, because I encourage questions. It's a cop out for me to say that I can't honestly explain it very well. It's better that Jewish people do that, because they know more in depth about this subject, because they understand the history of Zionism, the history of Judaism far better than I ever could, because those who have the experience of being Holocaust survivors and being a descendant of Holocaust survivors have, I think, a better experience and a better way of explaining it, because they have personal experience dealing with being discriminated against for being anti-Zionist. Yeah. Florida is fucking disgusting. It really is. What does that mean? You'll have to watch the video to find out. Because I'm not, again, I'm not a Jewish person. It's essentially, I'm not an expert on the Jewish religion. That's why I'm saying you should watch that video if you have any further questions. I wish I could answer that question for you, but I just feel like I'm not qualified. Well, I'm okay. I'm not going to talk about pop culture. Sorry, because I got sidetracked with the Zionist thing. Considering it is important to talk about fascism, but a non-Jew explaining what Zionism is, I just feel like it's not in my place to do so because I have not read in depth about it, and those who've actually studied it all their lives and know about it all their lives from personal experience of being religiously Jewish is better for them to explain it than me. So, the, now to elaborate further, because I got sidetracked, whatever, it's a stream, it's not a big deal. For those of you who are in states like or whatever place you live, just tell me from your experience about um, book bannings or anything that's fishy in your area. I'm sorry, Max Panther. I can't really talk about pop culture in a stream like this, considering I want to keep it on topic, considering like this is an issue that I wanted to talk about, and I would not have known about it if I had not actually talked to people that were near where I work. Because they were I asked them questions, even though the way they were trying to spread the message I felt was not adequate because people couldn't really see them, and I had to go out of my way to ask, okay, what's up? What's the deal? So they explained to me about, of course, this wasn't in Huntington Beach. It was in a different city where I was at, but they were explaining like the basically the things I just discussed earlier. Like you had some minority members basically dismissing people and doing some book bannings without any say, and the far right agenda being pushed in the local area. And I found that I really did have to talk about this because where I live, I will not give away where I live, is an area that it's likely going to have a book banning because where I live, there's a huge conservative community. There's a bunch of them. What? Oh, my colleagues aren't here right now. And regardless if they show up or not, I feel like I had to discuss this issue because this is an issue that affects all of us. Now, this is a local problem I'm talking about here, but I feel like what I'm talking about here applies everywhere. In fact, if I get other people to show up for this stream, I might just call it the Florida effect because that's essentially what it is. Because if things continue as they are, we're going to get this nationwide, and those who haven't studied history are going to be in for a rude awakening. It is like if you go on sorry if you go on like if you look at what the Nazis did, one of the first things they did do when they came into power, the first people they targeted, at least in terms of the literature, were Jews and trans people. Why is this significant? Now, I don't know this subject as in depth, so I'm not going to speak of authority on this. There's other people you could watch on the subject. Jesse Jerner has gone into great detail about this very subject. So if you want to learn more, I'd go watch her videos on the topic. It's no coincidence where anti-Semitism and transphobia go hand in hand. And the reason why I bring up transphobia, because the literature that was destroyed during the book burnings when the Nazis came into power were all stuff related to LGBTQ plus people. Any research, any medical science, any advancement at the time regarding LGBTQ plus people was erased. Yet over a century worth of scientific progress destroyed in a blink of an eye. Anyone that thinks that can't happen again is a fool. It's happening right now. A genocide is happening. They're literally banning the very existence of trans people. And I bring up trans people because they are the weakest target, and since society, it's easy to manipulate people like in this society. Oh, they're after our kids, even though LGBTQ plus people just are normal, just like you and me. They just want to be left alone. They just want to live their lives. But that's not what the agenda is. The agenda is to make the victims into the aggressors. And it makes sense why they would do that, because they do not freaking want these people's existence to be even acknowledged at all. And I don't care, really. You could call me crazy all you want. Well, yes. Oh, Gungaros, what's up, my dude?
Hello. I saw the link. I just decided to hop in since you don't got anybody else here.
Do you got anything to add to this conversation? By the way, I'm gonna likely title this stream "The Florida Effect." Just for right now, I'm just focusing on the local issues regarding the book bannings. Do you have anything about your area?
Can you give me? Well, there's nothing really like this going on in my area, but can you give me a quick rundown of what's going on in Orange County?
Well, it's mostly in Huntington Beach, but I didn't read every article on the subject because it was all the same thing. Banning sexually explicit material, whatever the fuck that even means. So it's the same thing throughout the country. When you hear sexually explicit material, they don't even talk about what book they're talking about or what is it they referring to the sexually explicit material. When I think of sexually explicit material, I think of like extreme sex scenes that are very explicit in the way they describe it. And let's be honest here, most of those books do not exist. They really don't. Majority of that stuff they're talking about exists is on stuff like on fanfiction.net and Archive Your Own. That's not the kind of stuff you're going to find and even in most adult fiction. They're just using the vague wording because they know and count on people not investigating what they're talking about. Just acknowledging the existence of LGBTQ plus people as apparently sexually explicit.
Yeah, these people are just, I was going to say living in the 1950s, but I'd say they're even further regressed than even that, honestly.
You could ban the Bible based on their own fucking logic.
Yeah, but we can't ban the Bible because America's founded on Judeo-Christian values. You know what's interesting? I was just watching the movie Stalingrad, and in the movie, it goes over like these German war veterans at the Battle of Stalingrad, and one scene shows this clergy. I don't know what he is, but he's a religious leader in the Wehrmacht, and he's basically saying, God is on our side. Look at your belts. It says God mit us, God with us. And Western Christian values are on the side of the Axis powers, basically. Oh, and the Bolsheviks are godless commies, so we're going to kill them.
Yeah, but the godless communists won.
Yeah. But you see, like, that kind of thinking even back then of who is the enemy, so to speak.
Well, it's just the enemy changes, and like the rot. It's like, is it any coincidence, right? When LGBTQ plus people are they're not fully accepted, but when they're moderately accepted, let's say moderately, like there's a big backlash against them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
It's
what about the sexually explicit material that's written by cis people? What about that?
I mean, the whole concept is like, what are we even defining sexually explicit
So
material?
so okay, I know this is a joke, but so should we consider anime sexually explicit material because a lot of teens and kids are into that stuff? Oh wait, we don't want to anger the weebs. By the way, I'm joking on that one. But that you could literally attack anime too if they want to go on their fucking banning.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
That's why it's such rubbish when they talk about sexually explicit materials. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's so vague, and it's purposely vague. It's like, okay, we're going to ban something because it has LGBTQ plus characters. How's that sexually explicit? Now, we all know what they actually mean, but I'm asking a rhetorical question for everyone in the audience here. What the fuck are they talking about? It's like majority of these people that talk about this stuff, they haven't read any of the books in question, or when they cite the book in question, they don't even talk about which exact books exactly. Like, what is it? What is sexually explicit? Because they talk about like some stuff that's basically every normal fucking teenager talks about. Like, how many teenagers have not talked about sex? How many teenagers have not talked about sex? How many? I'm asking a rhetorical question. You're not gonna. If they really were serious about banning books, then why not just do fucking? Why not ban fucking porn in general? Because you have any idea how easy it is for kids to look up porn? You could go to any porn site with a quick Google search. You think if they of course if they really care about like getting porn away from children, they would be on a crusade against porn. But we all know conservatives are full of fucking shit and don't actually believe in the stuff that they actually talk about. Oh, we can't ban porn. That's a profitable industry of sex slavery. We can't do that. You know, sex trafficking is essentially a $1 billion industry. We can't go after those people and actually protect the kids. No, we can't. We don't really want to protect the kids.
yeah, the whole point of schooling in the United States, and let's be real here. The whole point of sending your kid to a school is for, well, actually two reasons. One, keep them basically there so the adults can work their job in the capitalist economy during the daytime. And two, so you can educate them enough to where they can at least be a mindless drone in the current gig economy, to be like some Uber fucking driver or something like that, or go grab some Uber Eats for somebody. It's not about educating people by any metric. We don't even
What
teach social science in school or anything
I
like
think
that.
George Carlin said this best. They want you to be smart enough to be able to do the work, but dumb enough not to realize how you're being fucked by the upper 1%. Honestly,
Yeah,
schools in general, like, it doesn't matter if it's private or public. They're just indoctrination centers. And these fucking crazy ass libertarian right wingers who talk about, oh, these schools are all indoctrination centers. Like, wait, you're really gonna say that private schools aren't indoctrination centers?
Yeah,
All
because
fucking
it's
all
pride.
schools under capitalism is indoctrination. Just one is worse than the other. Yes, they want us to be like the Borg. It's like, and that there's a reason why they go after the parents if their kids don't go to school. I mean, it's like school is a fucking. We can all fucking contest to this. I hated going to school as a kid. It was like a prison. I hated going there. It was boring as fucking hell. I didn't learn anything. Majority of my the stuff that I learned was after fucking I fucking got out of school, or when I was not in school, or in spite of it. When there was something a subject that interested me, that's the only time I really learned, because everything else is just fucking boring, or the way the teacher teaches it, they just talk down to you, like you're some sort of stupid fucking doormat or something. And these fucking psychopaths who I don't care. I don't say it as ableistic calling people like Ron DeSantis a psychopath. Fucking enable it, fucking basically just want just another generation of fucking Nazis. That's essentially what these people want. They know the culture, they're losing the culture war, and they're desperate to turn the clock backwards. Because they know the Republican Party is going the way of the dinosaurs. They don't have that that much longer before they fucking become extinct, because nobody in this fucking majority of the people in this country don't fucking like the Republicans. The Republicans are hated as much as the Democrats, if not more so. But again, let's not kid ourselves though. I'm not endorsing the Democratic Party, because they are bad. They are bad, but they are not bad in the same way. They're not. Do you have anything to add? Anyone?
I don't know if Luke's going to say anything.
And like it's funny. In some of these districts, Harry Potter is banned in some of these countries, in some of these states. It's like, well, I think that's kind of based. I don't think any kid should ever read Harry Potter. I'm sorry, I can't.
Banned for a different kind. It's banned for a different kind of reason.
Okay, I'm just joking. I can't help. I love doing it. I can't help but do a dick at Harry Potter every time I talk about book when it comes to books. But on the subject of book banning, it's censorship. That's just exactly what it is. It's censorship. It's like, okay, you're trying to you're teaching history. Well, you can't really teach history if we have to be catering towards the feelings of a bunch of cis white people. Yeah, it's like, oh, we shouldn't teach history that makes white kids feel bad about themselves or be ashamed to be an American. You know what? I'm just gonna say this, and this is nothing new. So anybody that hears this, it's like, yeah, I agree with you, Darth Zenobia. You should feel ashamed. If you're proud to be an American, you're proud of your country's history. You're proud of basically what is the equivalent of the Nazis. Then I think you're part of the problem. Maybe you should re-examine who you are if you get so offended that you're being forced to actually learn your country's history. If you feel that bad about it, then you know what? Maybe you're a Nazi. And I know it's like, oh, Darth Zenobia, you call everyone you don't like Nazis. Hey, if the shoe fits, the shoe fits. Like, if someone acts like a Nazi, talks like a Nazi, walks like a Nazi, hangs out with Nazis, eats on a table full of Nazis, that is a Nazi. God, I've never said you know, Nazi so many times in one fucking sentence. Jesus.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, it's a serious yeah, America is just um, a fucking settler colonial white nationalist project that needs to be fucking dismantled. But they don't want to teach you that in schools at all
They don't want to
because
teach you anything from written from an indigenous or new African perspective. Oh no, we can't have that. It's critical race theory. Even though critical race theory is not even fucking taught in primary school.
and don't even think about reading Marx. Like honestly, I'm actually shocked that any kid was taught Marx in school. I certainly was not.
I
I was
wasn't.
even taught.
I was never taught Marx.
Yeah, you're gonna
I
get the
I thought
bullshit.
Marx was Santa Claus. No joke. Because they never even teach me about the Soviet Union when I was in school.
Yeah, same. I didn't learn nothing about the Soviet Union in school. I mean, they literally, we were supposed to be having a critical race theory esque class in our curriculum in Arizona for people of Hispanic descent. And the Republican state legislature banned it because they were seething, saying it was like anti American and shit. This is all the way back in 2010.
Isn't
Which is
it
kind
funny
of
how
telling.
isn't it funny how conservatives say facts don't care about your feelings, yet they are acting in the exact same fucking way they basically say to their opponents.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really is. I
yeah,
mean,
they're
they
projecting.
don't. That's the thing. They don't actually hold any like actual principles though. Like all they only exist to like fuck everybody else's life up. That's literally all they care about. If they're making
Yeah, it's
somebody else suffer, that makes them happy.
yeah. So people got to understand that Republicans are basically just taking the playbook out of what Himmler did, which is basically uh, uh, um, be as opportunist as possible when it comes to certain things. So Himmler couldn't figure out a way to like solve the issue of abortion in Germany. Like he tried as much as he could to ban it, but it just kept happening. So eventually he just decided, well, I'll just declare it solved. So therefore, it's done and over with, and along with other things, and combined it with um, drive for power politics, which makes it extremely dangerous, honestly. And I view these Republican legislatures with their pushing to literally ban Democrats from state legislatures as like the same thing.
There's a reason why they don't teach like fascism's connections to capitalism, because if people were to put two and two together, they would realize the entire American experiment is fascist.
Yeah.
Well, they just teach. Well, yeah, there was a Great Depression. Capitalism kind of collapsed, but eventually FDR came in, fixed everything, and we defeated fascism, and everything's been rainbows and sunshine since.
Also, I think it's funny that every single time something bad happens in China, all the media goes out of their way to call China communist, and then whenever it's like capitalism expanding at a rapid pace in China, they talk about it being capitalist.
Well, capitalism just doesn't really have any meaning to these people. It changes depending on the situation.
Yeah, for
If it's
them it's like
successful,
whatever looks good to them and their view is capitalism, and anything that's bad in their view is communism. That's basically it.
well, they know what they're doing. If they were to
Yeah,
admit
no,
that
they do.
capitalism is basically it's not as efficient as socialism. It would basically destroy the lie they've been pushing since like the dawn of the fucking communist movement.
Hmm.
Like like of course they're gonna lie. I mean, like just like the lie about these book bannings about protecting kids. What the fuck do you mean about protecting kids? Who are you protecting? That's the question. Are you protecting the feelings of fucking fragile white people that can't fucking handle learning about real history? Is that we're protecting them? Oh, God forbid, we're teaching kids to think critically. We can't have that. We can't have, people. We can't have critically thinking adults because that would destroy the system that we're trying to maintain. We can't have that. Oh, capitalism's collapsing. Oh, kids are learning something that's contrary to what the status quo view is. No, we can't have that. We got to change it. If it isn't a conservative like viewpoint, it's not valid. That's essentially what these people are pushing.
Remember during Trump's presidency, I think it's pretty early on in his presidency, when conservatives were bitching and moaning about removing like Confederate statues and shit, and they're like, oh, we have to teach history and all this stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, but the context behind these stupid fucking statues was literally intimidation tactics against African Americans. Yeah, so like these are literally just glorifying like horrible people.
And what's interesting, they'll talk about everyone who doesn't adhere to the American way of life as traitors. Yet, what the fuck are the Confederate generals?
Yeah, they're literally traitors. Like,
Yeah, you're honoring traitors more than actual loyal fucking American generals. But then again, we all know. But then again, the Confederacy, are they really traitors? Let's just ask a rhetorical question: are they?
well, this is the thing. You know, it's the Civil War was more, about keeping the fucking country unified rather than actually abolishing slavery. Like Lincoln didn't give much of a fuck about actually abolishing slavery in totality. I
He
mean,
never
he
did.
literally, yeah, he literally said that he doesn't think that black and white people should ever be equal, and that there's always going to be a dominant race, and that he thinks that that dominant race should be white people.
Actually, a lot of racists were upset that Lincoln got killed because they're like saying like, "Damn, Lincoln was about ready to deport them all to Liberia, and get rid of all those blacks from America." It's like, oh, it's fucking, they ruined everything.
Yeah, but who would have built America though?
Right.
That's the. And let's be honest here. America would not be where it is if that had happened. I'm not
Yeah.
defending it, by the way, and suggesting such a thing, but there's no way America would be able to become the superpower that is today if you didn't use a bunch of unpaid labor to build the country.
Yeah. Although it was also one of the horrible things about the whole shit too is that they were pretty much upholding slavery for religious and bullshit, just straight up racism reasons as well, because the North was actually a lot more productive with the industrialization and shit than the South. The North just blew them out of the water in terms of that because they were relying on an outmoded mode of production. When it comes to slavery.
And I fully support reparations. And that's another thing they don't want to be discussed in schools. God forbid we speak about reparations. Oh my fucking God. It's the end of the fucking world.
Yeah, and communists should support reparations. I mean, Lenin literally has a whole fucking quote about it, saying that we should. And yet, we got white chauvinist so-called communists denying it. Like,
Yeah.
It's like fuck you. Descendants of slaves deserve reparations. Go die in a fucking ditch, you racist fuck.
Yeah, it's so stupid to deny it too, because it's like, are you denying generational poverty and generational wealth as a concept? Are you denying that the capitalist system that we have in place right now perpetually holds people of specific races down in various systemic ways? You know, it's like,
There's been a lot of reparations done to various groups of people as over the years. I mean, Holocaust survivors were given reparations from um, well, it was between Israel and West Germany, so there's a bit of a tangent with that. But yeah, the whole concept of like reparation. I'm pretty sure Japanese internment people got reparations as well.
I was about to ask about that. I don't know if they did.
Like the '80s, I think. I think it was the '80s.
That'd be
Yeah,
surprising. That mean it must have been under Reagan.
yeah, Reagan.
Yeah, I think he was the one who actually apologized for that too.
Let's be honest, the real reason they don't want to give reparations to new African people, because one, I support it, by the way. It's more than the United States government can afford, because how fucking much in debt they are.
Nah, they can afford it. They can afford
They
anything.
can
they want.
absolutely afford.
Yeah.
Like it has to be in the trillions by now. With not even joking. Consider just for inflation, it has to be in the trillions.
Yeah. I mean, they've already pumped out a couple of like $1 trillion things with during COVID and shit, right?
Yeah, they can just make whatever fucking money they want. Like we're never going to be in debt. You'd be in debt to yourself. So like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, and plus
Well,
we have
just
like
a bunch of
historically low tax rates too.
Holy shit!
Definitely
That's
raise
that's a lot of that's a lot.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay it. They don't, because it would undermine their empire if they did.
It's also funny that the debts and the deficits and all that, because a lot of people don't even understand how like the debt really works. We're talking about like deficits. If did a certain president in the presidency, was the deficit, did the deficit go up? Did it go down? You know?
But it's like it's like it's like but if we did that, we would have reverse genocide, reverse racism if we gave them reparations.
Yeah. So okay. So if any white person wants to bring that up, bring up this act right here. Civil Liberties Act of 1988 is a United States federal law that granted reparations to Japanese Americans who were wrongly interned by the United States government during World War II and, quote, to discourage the occurrence of similar injustices and violations of civil liberties in the future. And this was an act signed into law by one Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, it says that they gave each internee $20,000 in compensation, equivalent to $40,000 in 2021. So
Still,
it should
shit.
be a lot more than that if we're talking about reparations for black people, considering, not only were they fucking enslaved, but literally.
What is it? Just enslavement? It's also loss of wealth too. I mean, we can't forget the Black Wall Street and various other industries that have been dismantled, or black farmers, how their lands have been stolen.
Yeah, plus the whole sharecropping thing and all the other various ways that they institutionally fucked over black people throughout the 20th century.
The
Jim
destruction
Crow.
of Black Wall, the destruction
Yeah.
of Black Wall Street.
People like to talk about FDR too. FDR was not very friendly in this regard. In fact, his argument was always like, "Oh, I had to make appeasement with the Southern Democrats in order to get the New Deal passed." It's like, okay, but it's at the expense of a lot of black people's livelihoods.
Yes,
Yeah.
But this is the reason why this history is never taught, because it would because having empathy for the oppressed is not something that the white supremacists that control this fucking fascist state desire for the proletariat to have, because having empathy for the oppressed goes against their interests. It's like
Yeah.
one of my favorite things, quotes from Malcolm X: if you're not careful, the enemy will make you love the oppressor and hate the oppressed.
That's why I hate fucking Andrew Yang's whole bullshit too. What did he used to say? Like capitalism with a big heart or something like that?
That's a fucking
Yeah.
oxymoron.
Yeah. Can't believe anyone that even remotely considered themselves left wing ever fell for Andrew Yang's bullshit. He was openly a capitalist and openly wanted to perpetuate capitalism.
Honestly, I find 2024 to be a very scary year, considering even though Ron DeSantis may be making stupid decisions now, and I don't think the possibility of him being in the White House is a set in stone. I still think we should not be under, even if he doesn't get elected, his influence, at least his policies of like in Florida, is basically having a domino effect nationwide. Like regardless if he wins if he gets the White House or not, people are underestimating the influence that Ron DeSantis has. Then again,
Yeah.
this would have happened regardless if he was the governor of Florida. But I'm just saying that Florida has such a huge influence over the rest of the country that it's scary.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
When a liberal state like California can has something like book bannings being a common occurrence at this point, that is fucking frightening.
Yeah.
Because when even as liberal as hell states are becoming more openly hostile to LGBTQ plus people, that's a sign that we're getting very close to the end game of a mask off fascism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the right wingers in these states, they need to act more overt, especially in like liberal, not um, Republican neutral states. So they have to like act more overt with it sometimes. Yeah, it's fucking insane. And Florida. Let's be clear here. Um, Florida was um, tailor designed to be this right wing state through U.S. government policies. Let's not forget, this is the same government that issued Operation Condor in Latin America, which implemented fascist regimes all over Latin America and still does to this day. Death squads, shootings, so they could and whenever those regimes would eventually become quote unquote democratized, all those fascist motherfuckers would come to Florida. It's like their fucking Disney. They don't like Disneyland now, so it's like their. I've called Florida their Mecca and Medina. And that is basically their Mecca and Medina at this point.
I'm not shocked that someone would do that, Christopher Parker. I mean, it is fucking Florida after all.
I
There's
I
already
would
book burnings actually already happening.
Been happening for years.
All right, yeah. So that person that laughed that off, I would never speak to that person again and
Yeah.
spit in, just spit in their face.
I would not be shocked, and I'm not saying this hyperbole, if in the future I see Nazi flags being flied in Orange County. I mean, I see like Trump flags and the a blue flag, an American basically a black version of the American flag, which is pretty much the swastika anyway. But I'm saying actual Nazi flag. I wouldn't be shocked if it's flown in Orange County. I just see some random fucking Nazi just drive by with his car with a Nazi flag. It's like the more you give these people space to fucking be open with their fucking fascism, the more they're gonna fucking do it.
So much for the tolerant left.
There is no there the tolerant left is fucking ridiculous. What the left shouldn't tolerate fascists. This is why we need to get fucking organized. Like we're running out of time here. I know it's easy to do this on from a podcast and it's like talk about we need to organize, but it's fucking true. It's like the left is so disorganized in this fucking country. Book bannings are happening all over the country. When it's like this is why I can't fucking take Marxist Leninists seriously. I really can't. Majority of them I don't take them seriously. Those who are actually on the ground doing actual work, who are actually fighting against the fucking fascists, are Maoists and anarchists. And I'm tired of the disrespect that Maoists and anarchists get from these fucking revisionists.
Yeah, we really haven't had an actual left in America since, like, I would argue, like, the left, quote unquote, was basically a joke throughout the Cold War in America. Fucking just, at best, they were class collaborationists, just saying something. But we haven't really had a left in America since at least Occupy. We really put capitalism back in the vocabulary again, and we're just starting to rebuild from years of McCarthyism and the Cold War propaganda. But they seem to be hell bent to push back into a new Cold War.
Let's be honest here, the past 40 before Trump. Let's say before 2015 is more accurate to say this, or let's say not early Trump, before the early 2010s. It seems like the majority of the population were asleep, but people have had we got a chance to see the end of history. We've seen the neoliberal era, and things have actually gradually had gotten worse in the neoliberal era.
I would like to point out, I think Occupy would have happened sooner if it wasn't for the fact that we had Bush, 9/11, the extreme fascist backlash to that, and the war on terror.
Yeah, and that Patriot Act that came after.
Yeah. And the Iraq War. All that rolled in.
Plus, I mean, there was very few amount of years that the Communist Party was ever actually even remotely relevant, or even remotely, edging into the right lane. Because, like, for most of its existence, for all of its existence, for the most part, it's just been this Browderist fucking Dimitrov Popular Front, like, populism. It hasn't even been any type of actual class struggle party. Like it's all it's been is been petty bourgeois, and specifically white petty bourgeois, and especially in their later years when they started going against the national questions of the various peoples within the various diasporas within the United States. And then we had the whole anti-dogmatist trend in the late 70s, early 80s, and it's just been full-on revisionism ever since then. Just accepting anything that gives aesthetics of socialism, regardless of how much revisionism is involved with it.
It's honestly, the Communist Party USA is a fucking joke. It really is a joke. It's controlled opposition. It's just a front for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
It's where movements come to die. That's essentially what with the CPUSA is.
And it's been like that for over 60 years or more, honestly.
I'd say it's been that way for almost a century.
Yeah, damn
Yes.
near.
Yeah.
They literally
Yeah.
sold the fucking proletariat out along with indigenous and new African people with the fucking New Deal
Yeah, they were just fully on board with the New Deal. Like,
when they literally had the best opportunity to have a revolution.
yeah,
Yeah, and the people that came after Browder was a regression, not a, Foster and Gus Hall, just as bad. So
It's no wonder the likes of Caleb Maupin loved, well, before they denounced him, the CPUSA, because they're no threat to his way of life. They can't fucking challenge fucking power at all because they don't desire to.
yeah. And the PCUSA is an absolute embarrassment too, because they were supposed to be an actual, party of principled communists that are outside of the CPUSA, specifically because the CPUSA was filled with revisionists, and yet the PCUSA is sitting here fucking oohing and awing over fucking Earl Browder as well. Like,
Not to mention they fucking don't they have problems of sex pest?
I think so. I don't know. But, I mean, they're fucking
they don't
multipolarity
got
bullshit, fucking pro-Russian imperialism, all that shit too. So
Speaking of Russia, didn't Putin almost get overthrown?
yeah, by Wagner
Yes.
Maoists. The Wagner
Yeah,
Maoists turned into Wagner Hojists, and they went against the national bourgeoisie.
Yeah, that's we might segue into that one because that's like a huge thing to talk about at the moment.
Yeah, that is
Because
fucking true. They'll fucking do almost unlimited funding for Nazis in Ukraine, but won't do anything to help the people that actually need it. Goes to which we all know why they do that, because war is a profitable industry. They're making a killing out of what's going on in Ukraine.
yeah, yeah, so the whole situation in Ukraine is also another example of the failures of the communist movement there to take advantage of a destabilizing situation. Like if Russia had an actual communist party there that wasn't I wouldn't call them revisionists at this point. I'd call them straight up fucking Hitlerite party. That's the KPRF or CPRF or whatever the fuck their stupid name is. Communist Party of Russian Federation. If we had an actual communist party, although there are some, they're just oftentimes small or they get banned or fucking
Yeah, the only
myriad of reasons.
I think it was at the Russian Workers' Front or something like that. There's a couple of youth organizations in Russia that are against the Russian imperialist war, but they're very heavily suppressed. At the Communist Party of Ukraine, the official party, whatever, they're just straight up revisionists as well. They're just pro Putin and all that crap. They basically have absolutely no Marxist-Leninist principles whatsoever. They just have basically Soviet nostalgia. That's it. So they're basically just totally aesthetically based fascists, pretty much. The Workers' Front of Ukraine is actually a good organization in Ukraine, but they're very small.
Why is it that the officially recognized communist parties in anywhere in the first world are always fucking revisionists?
Yeah.
It's a rhetorical question, by the way. We all know the answer.
State infiltration usually. Like honestly, like I swear to God, it's literally that state infiltration. Like, be it through money, through sending in fucking people that are probably straight up just feds.
They pose no threat to the
Yeah.
the status quo.
Yeah,
But
control that
guys,
position.
Jay Sakai was a Fed. despite the
It-
fact that, okay, how is he wrong about the white proletariat in his book? How is he
he'd be a
wrong?
pretty he'd be a pretty based Fed if he wrote a book like that. Why would the Feds want something like that out there?
It's like, why would a Fed, and I'm just gonna play with it around here, have someone write a book that deconstructs the myth of what America actually is or was, and
I've seen
so,
some.
and deconstruct the romanticization of the working class in America. Because I had this romanticized like outlook on the American labor movement and America and the proletariat in general. And that fucking book slapped me to reality. It's like, no, this is bullshit. And what made it even me worse is I saw it in the real world. So with real world experience being a disabled worker, Jay Sakai's book only just reinforced what I already subconsciously already like saw for myself.
I've been seeing some idiot white chauvinists as well try to denounce Dr. Gerald Ford's book, the Counter-Revolution of 1776. And
Yeah, because it's written by a black man.
yeah, no, their defense against it was it's like the dumbest thing ever. They're like, oh, but look at this quote from Marx where he said that the war was progressive or whatever, that the revolution was progressive. It's like,
They
okay,
know,
but there's like a lot of obviously missing context that he wasn't aware about, and we know this verifiably based on what he thought about this or that,
let's be honest, Karl Marx is not a fucking god. And I'm so sick and tired of these revisionists using the quotes from Marxists that never lived in America or never it's extensively studied America's history and
It,
use
it,
their quotes as the only ones that are valid. It's like, no, I don't fucking care. Marx was ignorant about what was going on in America.
yeah, and we know that they were ignorant about the details about what was going on because in Dialectics of Nature, Engels says that he doesn't think that Christopher Columbus,
Right.
if he would have known, what they would have done to the indigenous people, enslaving them and all that shit, and the genocide, that he would have done it, or that he would have, stayed over there. But in fact, we know that's not true at all. In fact, he very much advocated for it and pushed for it himself. So
Yeah.
when we know, we have context that Marx and Engels did not have, and it was clear that they were wrong on something, we should very obviously fucking correct that mistake and have a new lens on it of analysis. If not, then you're just being dogmatic to bullshit that's totally delusional.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It's oh, just FYI. If I go out, that might be because of the thunderstorm that's raging in my area.
Oh damn.
Anyway,
Yeah, there's the climate disaster we're all facing as well.
Yeah.
yeah, like when Marx was talking about American independence, he was talking about it in the context of like uh, progression in feudalism, basically, like Republican, egalitarian liberalism. People got to understand, yeah, liberalism at that time was the quote unquote left. Of course, it evolved over time where liberalism eventually became the right. But liberalism and nationalism, yes, were originally left because they represented progress from feudalism, fiefdoms, fucking empires, all this other shit. Um, and once capitalism got into power, it became reactionary. So that's when the communists come in. But again, I'm explaining way too much. I mean, it's also like the idea of like having when Marx talked about peaceful revolution in the United States, he was talking about it in a context where there wasn't a massive police state being set up in the United States. Um, that we have gone so far beyond that. We live in a surveillance state. the likes of which the world has never seen around.
George Orwell couldn't even come up with something like that in his book 1984. I mean, 1984 just seems to be fucking tamed by comparison.
Yeah, anyone who's trying to call themselves a Marxist-Leninist and is trying to push for peaceful revolution or peaceful transition to socialism needs to shut the fuck up, sit down, and read Lenin's work, The Proletarian Revolution and the Renegade Kautsky, where he literally talks about the context in which Marx said that it would be possible to have this peaceful transition, and he talked about the lack of bureaucracy and militarism, which anyone who tries to claim that the U.S. or any other modern capitalist country is not bureaucratic or not militaristic, you're kidding yourself.
Well, okay, peaceful transition is preferable. I don't think any of us here would want a violent revolution, but we have to be pragmatic. We have to be realistic about this sort of shit. Those who control the fucking everything, they're not going to give up their power without a fucking fight. If there's going to be violence, whether we want to do it or not, peacefully or not, it's going to be violent. There is no such thing as a peaceful transition. That's just a fantasy.
Yeah. Like the way that these people, these revisionists are advocating us to fucking work is very liquidationist. Like they just want to do this completely legalist fucking approach and shit, where they don't even want to organize anything underground at all, or
It's
actually on the ground, like from the ground up.
I mean, there's these revisionists out here like calling people left adventurers and all these other terms, and it's like, no, we don't have a left adventurous problem. We have a fucking revisionist problem, liquidationist.
Yeah, like it's the complete opposite. There's no fucking left adventurous problem. If there was a left adventurous problem, like we would literally have fucking a bunch of random communists going all over the country just shooting shit up for no reason.
I mean, in the 1970s, we had bombings almost routine.
Yeah.
And I would argue we still weren't even close to it left adventurous, even in the 70s.
Honestly,
that was the revolutionary period in the U.S.
What does left adventurism even mean? We know what it means, but it's so they basically advocating for not doing something is considering left adventurous. Apparently, Lenin, by their own definition, would be an adventurous.
Yeah, they should read Lenin's work on guerrilla warfare, because he literally, he's disgusted by this exact same type of mentality that these revisionists have. Like instead of calling these people that are doing this stuff terrorists, how about you blame the communists for not being organized enough to actually, direct these people towards actual directed attacks on capital and shit like that.
Yes, that's true.
Not being able to get this shit organized in an organized fashion, or actually, connect with the masses.
But no, connecting with the masses is too much work. Touching grass and talking to real people is too much work.
That seems to be pretty much the motive around a lot of these revisionists. It's basically, this is a lot of work. It's scary. I don't want to get shot. So I'm going to just advocate this kind of peaceful coexistence. China, 2075 socialism. Don't worry about it.
To me, they're just cowards. That's what they are. They're cowards. Or they're just not. They're just fucking not. They're just communists in name only.
Yeah, that's basically it. Because I mean, I know Mao has said before where if you only go through the avenue of the legalist action, working within the system and everything, you basically reduce yourself to nothing more than a social democrat.
Yeah, I mean, we still got these revisionists out here in the first world saying that the petty bourgeoisie have a dual character and we shouldn't be dismissing them.
The petty bourgeoisie cannot be trusted. They're all snakes. Not all of them. They're mostly snakes, and they'll stab you in the back at a moment's notice. They'll show their fangs at the opportune moment. You know what? Fuck it. I think I'll just reveal it anyway because it's going to be people are going to learn about it sooner or later. The best example of this is my recent termination of my job. Like every single one of these petty bourgeois fucks, like, oh, they'll appear to be your friend on the surface. They'll pretend to be nice to you and act like your friend, but when they see an opportunity to get rid of you because they don't want you there anymore, or you do something that's slightly out of favor, they'll just terminate you on a moment's notice. The petty bourgeoisie are vile creatures for the most part.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I had this fucking I don't care. This fucking cunt basically says, "Oh, we're sorry," after making me sign a paper that to like to my termination, and I just basically said, "I don't want your sympathy.
Yo,
Fuck your sympathy and fuck the company."
That's like it's like such a weird thing for them to say. Like I feel like that's almost as dumb as like a landlord like kicking you out and say like, "I'm sorry, I have to do this." It's like actually you don't have to do this.
And you know what? Since I'm no longer under contract and I'm no longer have any obligation, yeah, you know what? Fuck Trader Joe's. Yeah, that's the company I worked for. Some of you may have figured that out. It's a petty bourgeois fucking store. Anyone that's ever walked into one of those fucking locations could fucking contest that it's fucking petty bourgeois. The freaking mates are all petty bourgeois. Every single goddamn one of them. It's not a fucking pleasant environment. Don't fucking fool yourself. They're hostile to college students. They're hostile to people that are holding more than one job. It's fucking impossible unless you're a fucking fascist-minded person, to work there and work there well. Like I worked with a guy. I don't have anything against him. I think he was cool. Who was having back problems, and no one gave a shit. Literally, no one gave a shit. Now, the only reason I bring this up because I am free to talk about my job now without repercussions. Like, what are they gonna fucking do? Fire me? They already did. It's like fuck you.
That's the thing, especially with these service jobs, is that it's like the worker, they view the workers as so expendable that they just really don't give a shit. They don't even care to even pretend to give a shit.
Yes, it is. Yeah, Trader Joe's acts like it's a small business. It's anything but a small business. It's fucking corporate. The workers I worked with back 5 years ago were saying the same thing, that I don't like where this is going. Like, I know this sounds like going back what I said I wouldn't reveal this, but I feel like considering that I have in-depth knowledge on working for this damn company, no one's going to convince me it's a great company to work for. The only reason it's popular is because, it has some products that may be of high quality. Don't be fucking fooled. Trader Joe's, you're not paying for better quality food. You're paying for a fucking label, nothing more. You could literally get the equivalent of Trader Joe's foods anywhere else. It's like there's nothing special about the store. And don't get me started on the fucking way that not every worker acts this way. So I'm just going to clarify this as someone, because some of the workers I worked with they're not all bad people. But a lot of them have this mentality, this snobbish mentality of thinking they're better than everyone else because they work at Trader Joe's. They look down on people that work at Vaughn's, Ralph's,
Jeez.
fucking Walmart, Sprouts. They think they're so much better because the starting wage is like, I forgot what it was. when I was fired, my wage was like $17.65 an hour.
Damn.
Damn.
And you know what? For my haters out there that are watching this, go ahead and gloat all you want. I don't care. I'm relieved that I've fucking been that I don't have to work at the job anymore. Yeah, I have to search for another job, but don't fucking pretend you haven't been fired yourself. I doubt you fucking haven't been like not been fired. And I'll tell you this: I worked at Trader Joe's for almost 12 years.
I completely forgot about Sprouts. I haven't seen that shit in a while. I remember when they first came to my home city, I applied for them, didn't get the job, and it was weird because I felt like I had a really good interview. But
Sprouts is basically Trader Joe's biggest competitor.
Yeah.
And you know what? Wait, what's insulting? What they give you when you work there? They give you a 20% discount. Well, it wasn't always that way. It was 20% after COVID, because during COVID, if you bought more than $20 worth of items, you got 20% off your items.
Yeah.
So basically encouraging to spend more.
Yeah.
Once that went away, it was basically you were able to do it regardless. But other than that, you don't really get any benefits. Like, oh, I get 20% off these overpriced fucking goods. Oh my god! And you have fucking wine that is fucking. I'm not even joking. Yeah, there's wine for $100.
Jeez.
They're basically doing the modern day equivalent of like the company town money shit.
It literally is not a small fucking store. It's business. It's not. It acts like it.
Giant.
I could never afford to shop at Trader Joe's.
I never even been inside one. So,
The atmosphere, I can't speak for wherever if there's in Arizona, but it's not as welcoming as it seems. It's only seems welcoming if you haven't worked there or know how things work behind the scenes. Like, they literally throw away food all the time. But this applies to all grocery stores that you could literally eat, even though they are better when it comes to donation than most stores. It doesn't change the fact. Come on, we live in neoliberal capitalism. It's like there's some stuff they could donate, but they throw away anyway.
yeah.
It's got to make a profit off it. Give it away for free, and people ain't gonna buy it.
Now, it's not worth shopping at Trader Joe's. The fucking food's overpriced. It really is. You're paying for a goddamn label. And some of the good shit they did have, they fucking discontinue it.
I hate
Go
how they
figure.
these companies also pretend to like have a heart or something with like their fucking composting and recycling shit. But in reality, we all know it's literally just to get a fucking tax write-off.
Yeah, they hired me because of a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, you want to know one of the reasons why I think that the policies changed for the company? It's because, God forbid, the workers wanted to unionize.
Right.
I know, bring up that forbidden word for any former employee of mine that's watching this. Fuck you. I don't care. I don't owe you shit. Like, because the conditions were getting worse because of COVID. Like, and they weren't being treated well. Like the insurance, like they literally made the insurance worse. Like people's benefits were being slashed. Now, I never got the benefits when it came to the health insurance at Trader Joe's, because in order to get it, you have to basically work full time. So it's literally impossible for part-time workers to fucking get that insurance.
Yeah, they always do that shit. If they want you to work more hours, they'll always make you go under 40. If you
And
go over 40, they'll get in big trouble.
Here's what's asinine, though, about Trader Joe's in general towards the end. I went from working 8 hours a shift to 4. All because of a new of a new fucking policy. It's like, what was the policy? Because I couldn't work the cashier. Well, here's a kicker. This is gonna fucking piss some of you guys off. They were training me in cashier back in 2017 and 2018. You know what happened? As soon as I lost my glasses, they stopped training me.
That's weird.
That is just fucking.
And when I found my glasses, they wouldn't train me again. So they gave up training me in being a cashier, because in Trader Joe's, if you are not trained in cashiering, they're not going to give you any hours. And considering how, I don't know about other locations, but they have two teams. They have the customer experience team and the product team. Now, this doesn't, I know for those of you who don't know, customer experience are people that basically face the store. They also do the register, though those on product team do it as well. They also do samples. Those who are on product usually work in the back. They pull items, or they do amongst other things. I don't even remember everything I did, because they never gave me a chance to do all of it. And here's the thing. I used to do a good amount of stuff in the store. I worked at the milk box at one point, and frozen. But slowly, they basically gave me less and less and less to do.
Did they ever help you unload, or did you ever help, like unloading trucks or anything like that?
I couldn't do that, because in order to do that, you have to work early shifts. And I couldn't work early shifts because where I live, by the way, this is back when I lived in Orange, in my current place that I currently live, which I won't disclose. It takes two buses for me to get there.
Yeah.
Before I moved to my current location, if I was lucky, it took me an hour to 2 hours to get there, because the bus route sucked. The place I currently live at now, ironically, I live further, but it takes less time. I can get there anywhere from 50 to 70 minutes if I'm lucky. It's still a long time. Then again, I'm never lucky most of the time. It's usually an hour and a half. And the same thing applies if I'm going back. But unlike when I lived in Orange, which has some of the worst bus routes if you're working in Trader Joe's, at least the one I worked at, I had multiple ways of getting to work, so it was not a problem getting there. What makes it even worse, and I'm just going to say this, rather than tell me on the phone or email me that they were terminating me, they had me go all the way to work. And when I was thinking I was going to working that day, they just pulled me like aside and just told me that I was being terminated, not even caring.
I would be furious if they had to go all the fucking way down there just to say that shit without.
Well, the reason why I've been terminated was because I made because of various mistakes I made throughout the 6-month period. There was 2 times I didn't show up because because usually prior to this situation where they basically didn't fuck with my hours were set and my days were set. They changed them constantly. So it got to a point where the second time I did it, I checked almost almost every 3 days to make sure that so I don't miss my shift. The last time I forgot my uniform. Now imagine being under so much stress for so long and just and afraid to making even a minor mistake, because they'll use that against you. And I made a mistake. And when I told them that, like they sent me home because they couldn't find a shirt of my size.
Damn.
And I've made worse errors before, and I did not even get written up for it. I mean, they were just looking for an excuse to get rid of me for a while. Trader Joe's is not friendly to the disabled. Nobody can fucking convince me otherwise. Oh, but there's workers that are disabled that don't complain. It's like, yeah, well, they shouldn't be working in general, but they have no choice.
They're not in an environment where they can express that. That's the thing. That's what's abusive about these work situations, especially in the services.
Yeah, well, I've been wanting to share this information for a long time because, You know what? I've been complaining about my job without mentioning the names, and those who actually know what I'm talking about already knew what I was talking about. But since I was able to mention the name, it's just, yeah. And when I got fired, I had a mixture of emotions. I felt empty and I felt relief at the same time. Relief because I no longer have to deal with it, but now I have to search for another job. And don't
Yeah.
get that smug expression for all you haters out there. Don't. I. How long have you kept your job? I guarantee you, some of you have been fired at least once. So don't give me shit for it. I had 11-year record of consistently being on time, with rarely doing any fuck ups, and I get fired because I do it a few times.
My resume actually looks kind of bad, in my opinion, because I if I look at my last couple of jobs, I haven't stayed at them for very long. Like the job I had before this one, I was only there for like fucking like 5 months, and the one before that, I was there for like a year and a half. And the one before that, I was there for like 4 months. But the one I have right now, I've been here for 3 years now, so it should look better on my resume. But still, it's always been me that ends up having to leave for whichever reason.
So for any my haters of mine, fuck you. I kept the same job for at least 11 years. Can you say the same? And I have 11 years of experience, so it will be difficult to find another job, but in the service sector, I don't want to do it, but I'll do what I have to do. It won't be as difficult as for people who don't have as much experience. The only thing I'm lacking is doing cashiering.
Yeah, you might have to learn that if you're gonna go to like some. I'm thinking of like other places that are pretty freaking easy to work at. Like I don't know if there's like a 99-cent store or a dollar store,
Well,
you know, those type of stores around you, but those places are usually
I have a
dead as
99
hell.
cent store close by.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah, like those places are usually pretty dead for the most part, so it probably shouldn't be too easy. You'll probably be doing a lot of stocking, but you'll also probably have to, you know, be cross-trained to use the register. So that's gonna be
Majority
a big
of the reason I haven't been able to do register is I have intense anxiety.
Yeah.
Because in a fast-paced environment, like especially when you know, if customers are as long as they don't do change, I'm fine. But when they do change, I fucking freak out. Because I'm not very good at I'm not very good with counting change.
I never ended up having to learn register because when I used to work at Walmart back in college, I just unloaded trucks. You know, I was in the back room unloading trucks or stocking shelves. When I worked in the deli, all I ever had to do was like weigh the meat or cheese or chicken or whatever I was making, you know, and then put a fucking tag on it. I just had to remember some codes. So yeah, I never. And before that, I worked in the financial aid office at my local college, so never had to use a register.
You know, you want to hear this retarded shit at my job? I don't even care. It's public. The way they have the fucking team system work is so stupid that I was literally getting annoyed. Like they have, in order to actually do anything, you have to report to your team leader every hour, at least once an hour.
That's stupid.
And every time you finish a task, like, wait, this aisle's kind of screwed up. Why do I need to talk to somebody every goddamn time? Like I'm some retarded child.
My job, you literally couldn't get anything done if you did that every hour.
It's just so stupid. And it's like, oh, and there was times I was sent to do carts when they had 5 people doing carts. Like, why was I even sent out here?
It's funny because like every job I've ever had, like I always had a boss that didn't want to be bothered with stuff for the most part. So they would usually just give us the tasks and then go about their business.
I have no issue reporting once an hour, but having to constantly report to my boss every time I finish a fucking task. Why? There's so much to do. It's busy. Oh, I need a bag. I fucking bag. Oh, wait, there's a product that needs to be stocked. I fucking go in the back and stock a product. Oh, but no, we can't have people think for themselves, because if we did that, that would be too much trouble. Oh, but then again, they give you shit for doing your goddamn job and actually reporting, so you cannot win with these damn people.
Yeah, for real.
And you know, I have no shame of fucking sharing this fucking shit. Honestly, I mean, I don't owe these people anything. And don't get me started. And you know what? They used to have a thing called company outings, which they stopped doing that. I wonder why. They stopped doing that. It's like, whoa, whoa, wait. Workers actually feel like that they actually matter. Oh wait, COVID happened and you stopped doing it.
I absolutely despise having to do that type of shit for my current job, because it always involves having to drive in downtown busy ass fucking Phoenix to like have dinner or something, and it's like, and I basically can't deny it or can't reject it, because like my boss is flying in from across the country. So,
well, I was never required to do it. I basically went willingly because, oh wait, I get to have free food. I'm not denying this.
yeah.
Not to mention, I was cool with some of the workers at the time, with certain workers at the time, so I didn't mind hanging out with them. And then, speaking of which, there's this worker. I mean, he was a cool guy, and it makes me and when he died, everyone just acted like he never existed. I don't expect people to constantly think about him, but the very fact that they went to his funeral, that was it.
Damn,
that is fucked.
It is fucked, and he was one of the nicest people I've ever met.
That reminds me of something that happened recently with me as well. Somebody I knew back in since pretty much elementary school passed away like last week. It's crazy. It was crazy because just knowing that he died so young.
Well, this guy that I'm talking about, I knew him for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I what's really freaky, he died a few days after we had our last conversation.
Sheesh, that's wild.
Yeah, I had a coworker who also died of cancer a few days after. Well, he's a former coworker. He's working somewhere else, but he came into the store to buy some milk. And a few days later, I'm checking the newspaper, bored out of my mind. I'm going through the newspaper. I skim through the obituaries, and I don't know how this is possible, but I must I don't normally check the newspaper or the obituaries, but that particular day, his obituary was in the newspaper, and I was like, I looked at the face, and I was like, oh shit, that's him. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty.
Was it known that he had cancer, or did he not tell anybody?
I had no idea. I had no idea.
You know, I'm gonna edit.
He actually wanted to get me a job at a driving place.
I'm going to edit this
a good driver
as a separate video after this is over, because I feel like, because this topic, I want it to be separate so I don't ever have to talk about it again. So people's like, oh, what do you think of your former place that you work at? Here's the fucking video so you could just watch it.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Because, you know, I don't want to talk about this job again, because I've been ranting and raving about this job, in real life. Like, I've been ranting about it since 2020, actually, and online since November of last year. And my God, my Trader Joe's, the one I worked at, was infested with Trump supporters. That's not even exaggeration.
It was kind of split at my last job, the one before I have now. But I think it was generally more people that are like on the Democrat side, but still, I mean, either or is bad. But
well, it was liberal at one point until it became extremely reactionary with COVID.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the fucking the break room, and we had the news came up that Trump got COVID, and everybody started cheering. That shit was funny.
Wait, You guys remember I showed you photos of what my workplace looked like one time?
I remember you like showing us like how expensive
Yeah,
some
a little.
sandwich was or
Yeah.
something, or
Yeah. Here's the
salad.
thing. Here's this retarded shit out. A thing of salad was five. It was $5 for a small thing of fucking salad.
Yeah.
$5.
I was a bit
For a
shocked.
fucking thing that barely has any nutritional value at all. I want you to pay like $5.
And for a
Actually
fucking
shocked.
burrito too. The bean and cheese burrito. It's a small. It's like okay. It's not bad in size in terms of its size. $4 when I
Jeez.
originally it was $2. It was two, it was $2.99 for as long as I worked there. And they fucking because of the war of fucking Ukraine, everything in the store went up by fucking $2 or $3.
Yeah. Same shit down here. Everything's
like-
getting more expensive.
It's like I unfortunately I did shop a lot at the store because of my customer discount. I mean, I wasn't gonna not take advantage of it when I had it. I would never
Yeah.
shop there otherwise.
Plus, it's
Yeah.
probably something out of convenience. It's like you're already fucking in the store, so it's like
Yeah.
walk out and just get
don't-
shit.
Yeah, that's how I usually feel too. Tasty Cake family packs. They used to be 2 for $5 at my store. Now they're 2 for $8.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I've seen a tuna sandwich at 7-Eleven for $6.
Oh,
7-Eleven. I don't know if I would trust a fish sandwich from 7-Eleven.
and here's another thing about the store. They almost never have fucking sales. Every other grocery chain I've ever been to, ever shopped at has had sales. Trader Joe's almost never has sales. Almost never.
That's insane.
It is.
Like, how do they expect people to like fucking? They're just gonna go in and not buy anything on sale?
Trader Joe's is for the petty bourgeoisie. That's the kind of people it caters to. The petty bourgeoisie. You can't get any more bourgeois than Trader Joe's. You cannot get any more bourgeois.
Yo, you
Yeah,
also-
Mother's Market. Yeah, it's bourgeois. So is Sprouts. But at the very least, they do have sales for some of their items. Trader Joe's has none of that.
Yo, y'all should have seen Sprouts in my home city when they were hiring. They had like fucking 400 little fucking interview benches in this big ass fucking stadium. It was so
What the
weird.
fuck?
Yeah, because it was like a grand opening, like the first time that Sprouts was coming to our city.
And by the way, this is the place I was talking about that I saw a fucking Proud Boy member shop at.
God, Jesus Christ.
And it is not uncommon for Trump supporters to fucking shop there too. Like there's more than once I can name of someone having a gigantic fucking flag. It's like, I wonder if that person might not be a Nazi.
Well, I mean, these people are gonna shop everywhere. I mean, it's not like there's businesses
Yeah.
that are not bourgeois. They're all bourgeois, but
Yeah, these fucking Trump fucking sickos, they're everywhere. They're even in my territory. I mean, they're fucking.
I know.
They're the most out and overt people there are. People always say that Trump supporters, they're just embarrassed to vote for Trump. No, it's quite the opposite. They're quite overt. They will go out of their way to tell you how much they love Trump.
and you
tell you
also
stuff.
live in a pretty reactionary area, don't you?
It's not
It's like-
as reactionary. It's like, I mean, it's
Actually, I think it's more like
voted-
the surrounding states around you that are more reactionary. But
Lancaster County is kind of reactionary outside of Lancaster City. The areas is mostly just like liberal, I guess would be the term.
my hometown was very reactionary.
Well, I don't know what more I can say though. I mean, I could probably get more into detail, but but then again, I'd just be scraping. Like the one incident though that did make it so I went on their shit list is one time. This is nothing new, for those who have already listened to this, for those who haven't, for those of you who know, when COVID happened, even before that, we saw video after video after video after video after video after video after video of cops killing people and acting like a bunch of psychotic fucking monsters doing it or laughing while doing it. And seeing video after video after video for God knows how many years and hearing some fucking jackass say how hard it is to be a cop, I just snapped.
Yeah, I just saw a video.
And I'll say this in the exact words. All cops, the only good cop is a dead cop. And all cops are fascists.
Yeah.
I don't think I should have said that because that was impulsive of me to do so, but I was just so fucking angry just hearing that. Because being exposed to that much fucking videos, and this isn't just edited footage that's fucking that people made up or edit it to make it look real. No, this is raw fucking footage, and there's so much of it that you could find on social media. It's one of the reasons why they like are push doing stuff to actually make it so it's more difficult to expose them, such as playing copyright music when they're doing when they're during these situations, or taking advantage of loopholes in the laws.
Yeah. I mean, isn't like cop deaths in America like one of the leading causes of deaths in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, being a cop is not that fucking dangerous. I mean, you, it's like, it's ridiculous to say it is. Oh yeah, it's so dangerous having a gun amongst a populace that most of them are not even armed.
Yeah, it's most of the time it's the exact opposite. Like, you're more likely to die from a cop being there than the cop not being there. Like, like honestly,
I've never once. What?
Cops do not like solve crimes. Like, people need to get this out of their heads. Like,
they even admitted in Supreme Court, I thought, that that's not their purpose, right? Like, their whole purpose is to like protect capital.
Yeah, it was to protect. Yeah, it was a whole, but 19th century bourgeoisie had to create these state institutions because the petty bourgeoisie kept stealing from them. Yeah, you guys know the history. But
the petty bourgeoisie are just a very antsy class. Like,
every single petty bourgeois person I've ever, not all of them, because you're part of that class, no, Gungaros, but not all of them are.
I'm more of like middle class. I don't know if I would classify my family as petty bourgeois. I mean, that's they don't
like
really
labor aristocrat.
Yeah, labor aristocrat is probably the better term to use for my family.
It's amazing, just my evolution politically happened in this job. In the span of 10 years, I went from a reactionary to a fucking third worldist in the span of a decade. It's funny. The more left wing I became, the more hostile that the job was. Then again, that's probably not a coincidence because a lot of the more left leaning people were basically let go. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Trader Joe's is fucking racist as fuck. It's not even a joke.
Shocked.
Yeah, they may have some people that aren't white that are in mate positions, but it doesn't change the fact that the general makeup of the store that I worked at was so fucking white before I left. It's like, what the fuck happened to this place? It used to be very diverse. Barely any non-white people are in the store. And one of the hardest working workers I've known, they fucked him over because he was black.
Damn.
And the way they do these fucking reviews, or we'll just call them whatever you want to call them. I'll just call them good cop, bad cop, because that's essentially what they fucking do. At least currently, when they like review. They get one person doing the role of good cop and one person doing the role of bad cop. They do this in all these situations, even when they're terminating you or writing you up. It's always that way. Maybe it's always been that way and I didn't notice it, but I've noticed it recently. Now, this is not unique to this job. There's plenty of other jobs that do this, but I'm speaking from experience of working this fucking shit job, that's what they did toward the end. And I feel bad for any of the good people that work at my job that still have to work there. I really feel bad for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially if they're like looking at it as like a career thing and not as just like something to hold them over while they go through school or something.
Actually, one of the people I talked to, she is going back to school, and a lot of the art in the store is actually, it's really good art, by the way, is because of her. And she doesn't intend to work there in a few years. Because before, she's been doing the art for a long time, almost 2 decades. And the reason why everything doesn't look all bland and boring is because she is the one that did the art for it. When she's gone, the store is going to be a boring looking fucking mess. I got a question. Have any of you ever worked in a store that used the Zamboni, or did a fucking mopping of the store? Well, dry mop, when customers were fucking in the store.
Oh yeah, they did that all the time at Walmart.
Well, I want to know if I'm the only one, because when it's really busy, they do it even when there's insanely packed.
Yeah, they do.
We usually tend to do it at closing hours, but
yeah, like the last couple hours before it's closed to the public. That's when they start doing it. Yeah.
No, they don't do it at Trader Joe's. They fucking they do it because they want to make they want to make everything look all nice. It's like, really? I don't think customers give a flying fuck about that, to be honest with you. They're just there to shop and get out.
Yeah. Also,
mind you, this store, I'll just finish this, what I'm about to say, is small. There's barely any room to fucking walk. Barely any room to walk, and you're having the Zamboni when it's fucking packed.
In terms of like school and how these like service sector companies like treat people that go to school, like they have no type of like regard for them at all. Like I remember this one girl that I met in college. I think it was my junior year of college. I was dating this girl, and I met her the summer between sophomore and junior year. And when we were starting up school again, she started working at Walmart. And they were trying to get her to quit school so she could work more hours.
What?
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's fucking wild. They just have no respect whatsoever for like your personal life or what you got going on. Like, you should find a different place to work.
Well, what they're really doing, especially in these jobs like that, for my former job, is they're looking to get rid of undesirables.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Oh, they want you to fully open your schedule, yet they only give you like 1 or 2 days a week, and they expect you to have most of your fucking schedule open.
I did notice too that there's a couple of older people that would work at these types of jobs that have been working at these places for like 20 years and stuff like that, and these companies will just drop them like flies for like literally anything, because they're just trying to find any type of reason to get rid of these type of people. Older employees, people with disabilities, anything like that.
Of course they are. When with the way things are going with fascism, I've said this many times. The disabled are the last ones hired and the first ones fired.
Yeah. Also, if you're like black or indigenous or anything like that too, they'll also fire you for basically anything. I remember when I got hired at Walmart, I quickly became pretty damn good friends with this one black dude who we both got hired at the same time, and they fired him after just like 3 or 4 weeks. And it was weird too because he was a pretty good worker.
It's a fucking fraud that capitalism rewards hard workers and hard work. No, some of the most slimy and laziest people could fucking still fucking keep like the job that they have. That's not what they value. What they value is like the ideal employee. What's the ideal employee? Well, for my job, someone that's an ass kisser that licks the boots of the bosses, that's fucking white and cis and man. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll have a few tokens here and there because they don't want to have the appearance of completely being racist, even though they clearly are a white supremacist company.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, it is in the city of Orange, a fucking insanely white area in Orange County. It is so fucking white. Like anyone that's
I
actually been in the city of Orange in Orange County would know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I did notice that people are pretty open with the people that are reactionary in Phoenix area are more open about it. I remember we were on a break, whatever, and I was hanging out with the friend I mentioned, the black friend, and he was smoking a cigarette. We were just chilling outside in the parking lot, and this white lady just came up and asked him if she could get a cigarette, and he rightfully said no because we can't give that type of stuff out to customers. You're not supposed to give or receive anything from customers. So he was just following the rules, and she just casually like dropped the N word on him, and I was like flabbergasted.
Wow.
Both of us were
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
No, I
that's
shit
what
you
happened.
not. On my job when I was reactionary, I said some pretty anti-Semitic and Islamophobic stuff in the back room, and I did not get written up for it. Not at all.
Jeez.
Well, according to them, that's not problematic or not political or something like that.
Well, I was anti-religious at that point, and I also rant about Christianity too.
You were like a Reddit atheist type.
Pretty much, they didn't fire me for that or written me up for that.
Second, you started talking about cops. But I wanted to talk about this. I found this at my store yesterday. Somebody wrote in like black, like ink. They wrote, "I'm Jack Shaw. I hate blacks." I'm like,
Oh
what the
shit!
fuck? And apparently, they didn't even add like the C to it though, or did they? I think they might have. Like I can't even like see it. Like, but basically, they wrote that outside on like where the carts are at, so everybody could see. I'm just like, I had to clean that shit up, but I was like, wow, that's just fucking insane there.
Wow.
And yeah, we also had this one homeless guy call one of our cashiers the N word to her.
Jeez.
Denied him cigarettes, and then he called.
Oh, it's the same type of situation. It's so weird.
Yeah, cigarettes turn people into straight up fucking reveal their true forms.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
Like honestly, cigarettes are legitimately fucking evil.
You know what's really fucked up? Speaking of homeless people, the way Trader Joe's treats the homeless.
Yeah.
They look at them with such contempt. In fact, I was the only employee I could think of, one of the few people that actually did not treat them as scum.
Yeah, I remember when I worked at Kroger, they were so anti-homeless that they used to lock up the fucking compost in the back alley with a fucking big ass padlock, and they hired like a fucking security company to patrol around the area at night to make sure the homeless people were trying to get into the compost.
Yeah. But they don't
Like,
want
there's
to.
a-
They don't.
Sorry.
They don't want to solve the homelessness issue because they're the ones creating the homelessness problem with the fucking housing market that they created this crisis in the housing market. So they don't want to see the homelessness that they created. So they're trying to solve that problem instead of just solving the problem by giving them houses.
Yeah, it was so annoying when I worked at Kroger too, because they used to force us to make fresh chicken every 2 hours. So, usually when I worked at that deli, um, you don't get very many customers trying to get like fried chicken after like 8 o'clock, and we closed at 11. So typically, I was throwing out like an entire fresh batch of chicken out, basically pretty much every night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before we, since I feel like there's a topic I want to discuss, so I'm going to conclude this thing about my former employers. Honestly, I'm going to conclude it for myself because I'm going to put this to bed permanently. I've talked about this indirectly for ages, but this is my final say on it. On Trader Joe's as a company, do not be fooled by the atmosphere. They may appear to be friendly on the surface, but they're nothing like that. They're snakes. If you're a college student and you're looking to get some employment, stay the fuck away from Trader Joe's. They're hostile to college students. And if you're a person of a non-white background and you're not cis, stay the fuck away there too, because the management and a lot of the people they hire are anti-LGBTQ plus. Trust me, I know, because I've heard fucking anti-LGBTQ rhetoric from people. They also allow open anti-Semitism. I mean, a literal open Nazi literally fucking said, "Oh, my wife is Jewish, so it's okay if we teach about if we do essentially allow Nazis to have a platform." So, whatever, don't take what I say for. I mean, just go around, go for yourself. Feel the energy in Trader Joe's. I'm not a spiritual person per se, but the energy just feels so negative. I feel like I'm getting crushed. I sound crazy for saying this. So fuck Trader Joe's, fuck my former employers, and let's just move on to another topic, because I think this dead horse is dead.
Yeah.
Though I will never not talk. I will still talk about issues regarding the the service sector, because it's something I have personal experience with. Most of us here do, and those of here who are watching this know when you watch this, you're not alone. For those of you who are new, to someone who's a new subscriber, if they somehow run into this stream, they got this far, you're not alone. If you're working at these kind of jobs, you're not alone. Don't feel alone. If you're a Trader Joe's employee and you're watching this, you are not alone. Don't ever think that you are alone. And that's all I will say regarding the subject. I've said everything I needed to say about Trader Joe's. Fuck the company. Shop elsewhere.
Fuck Trader Joe's.
What do you guys
Yeah.
want to talk about now? Wagner Hoshism?
Yeah, let's talk about something more interesting.
Before I could continue, I guess I'm going to have to go because I don't want to cut off halfway through if my power goes out, which it seems to be, because the lights in my room have went on and off about 3 different times in like
Oh,
5
damn.
minutes. I'm
Damn.
not even joking. It's been doing this too. Like yesterday, like the power would keep going on, off, on, off. Like you just have like these short little bursts. And it was so fucking annoying. But I just wanted to conclude with apparently the Yangtze giant soft-shell turtle is going extinct.
What?
Because there's only there's only three of them left in the world, and they're all males. The last female died this year.
Damn.
Shit.
Damn.
So I'll post that in the links for everybody to see, and I'm gonna head on out before my power goes out.
But according to Caleb Boppin, we could just invent our way out of extinction.
Yeah, we'll have Jurassic Park everywhere.
Jurassic Park.
Honestly, I'm not educated enough on the Wagner Group to talk about them in depth. I'm
Yeah.
completely out of the loop for that one. It's better if you ask the other guys here for their thoughts on that.
Yeah, a mercenary group named after a fascist, but yeah, it's oh yeah, I forget it just happened a few days ago. I mean, yeah, I guess the Wagner CEO wanted to have his own march on Moscow. Some people say it was going to be a coup. You know, I mean, it didn't turn into that, but it was basically kind of turning into a convoy thing. And you know, in Russia, you know, the KPRF is a completely useless fascist party. And they were just kind of tiptoeing both sides.
Yeah, they were waiting to see where the cards fell, basically.
Then he had some
Yeah.
guy in one of Jason's videos like, "Oh, it'd be a bad thing if Russia were to fall because Russia is the lesser imperialist compared to America." It's like that may be true to an extent, but we should not be rooting for any fucking imperialist power. I don't know why this is such a difficult concept for so-called communists to grasp.
Yeah, it's a remnants of three worlds theory and the anti-dogmatist trend.
Okay, I'm not. Okay. I'm not going to say there isn't that that there isn't a lesser evil in this world, and there are stuff that a worse evil. But that does not mean we should just support the lesser evil. I don't believe in supporting the lesser evil. I do believe there is such thing as a worst evil, which is the United States. I still view the United States as the worst evil currently, but we should still stand by communist principles of supporting anti-imperialist action.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, all the imperialist powers, even if they have inter-imperialist contradictions, they are all still in the same imperialist camp. I still think that Stalin's two camps work is fully applicable today. You know, there's the imperialist camp, and then there's the liberation and socialist camp.
Of course, I do have to clarify that because some people may misunderstand my stance on the issue. Because I am not saying that we should support the lesser evil. Like example, Russia and Ukraine. I actually do think Ukraine is the worst evil in my eyes because of who supports NATO, who's been the most responsible of spreading Nazism and keeping Nazism alive. It's definitely NATO. Russia has its own Nazis. Don't get me wrong, but they don't have nowhere near the amount of influence as the Western Nazis do.
Yeah.
So I actually view that Ukraine is definitely the worst.
There is a lot of Nazis that go to Russia for training.
Of course there are. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that, and I'm not saying we should support Russia because I don't want people to say I support Russia. Fuck Putin. And I'm just gonna say that right now. But we can't just. We got to be real of ourselves and recognize there is such thing as a lesser evil. Doesn't mean we have to support the lesser evil, but we have to recognize there are situations where there is evils that are worse than what's currently out there.
Yeah, I mean,
now
for me, it seems like it's a little redundant though, because I mean,
of course, if you want to know my opinion, if you wanted an evil that's potentially worse than America, is China. I think China is far more of a threat than Russia. Because China has far more influence throughout the world, and their stranglehold over Africa is like something we should be concerned with when America's influence wanes.
Yeah, they're definitely bigger, especially if you're working within the Pan-African movement, because they are very much concerned with Chinese neocolonialism.
So in that aspect, I'm actually more concerned with China than even the United States, even.
Yeah, and a lot of revisionists will like try to do the whole, but they're giving them a better deal. It's like, yeah, but giving them a better deal doesn't make it not imperialism. It doesn't make it not neocolonialism. In fact, that's the name of the game, to give them a better deal.
It's taking advantage of of groups that that are historically disenfranchised.
Yeah,
What the fuck do you
Yeah.
think that is? It's still exploitation is exploitation.
yeah. And then they do the whole, oh, but they're developing productive forces there. It's like, yeah, but that could be done in any way, regardless.
Oh god, the favorite saying of the mecha Nazis. I'm just gonna say this, even though I don't 100% agree with Comrade Confucius. I think he's pretty based most of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The way he completely destroys like Western chauvinists.
yeah, and like their bullshit narrative of how people in the third world are. Like,
You know what's interesting? Speaking of that, isn't it interesting how the mecha Nazis call everyone a Western chauvinist when they're probably as much of a Western chauvinist as these Nazis are, if not more so?
yeah, they definitely are.
Like, there's little difference between them and the likes of Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. Like they have this like uncivilized savage stereotype that they try to put onto third world people just to try to justify their bullshit reactionary garbage here in the first world. And it's funny because a lot of these people are the same type of people that would claim like, oh, you guys are being ultra left commandists or something, and we have to you know, we have to fucking be with the masses and from the masses to the masses and all this shit, like pretending as if they actually uphold any of this stuff. But like in reality, all they're actually doing is tailing the most reactionary like section of these people. Like that's completely going against what the mass line is all about. Like they're just pushing this populist garbage.
Yeah, populism is not fucking socialism. It has nothing to do with socialism.
Yeah, pushing and Nimrodnik crap and all that.
Yeah, it's literally like Narodnik crap. Like.
Populism is a fraud.
Yeah, I would heavily encourage people to read up on what Lenin had to say, you know, about these types of people. Wasn't exactly fond of the Narodniks in terms of you know, their populist bullshit. Read up on Gramsci too.
The submarine situation, if to quickly comment on that, I think it's funny, and I don't give a flying fuck. Actually, it's kind of funny that a bunch of rich people died at the site of the Titanic.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's sad that this is even like a big fucking like discourse right now. It's pretty ridiculous.
It's like, can I have the smallest violin, please, for those people? Yeah, a 19-year-old kid may have died, but should I really care? I'm not. I know it sounds. Some people may think that's heartless of me to say, but how many migrants died at the same time? 700 fucking people.
Yeah.
So I don't really give a fuck. This entire narrative just actually exposed, like, in capitalist society, whose lives matter and whose don't.
Yeah.
It just reinforces that the poor never get any fucking attention when there's like a tragedy. None. Nada.
Yeah, for real. People are all concerned about the fucking when billionaires die, but little to no concern when anyone else does.
Oh, the poor billionaires. What will we do about the billionaires? The billionaires. What will we do about the poor billionaires?
Yankee Tinky.
Oh yeah, he said some stupid shit.
Yankee Takey. It's like it's so sad. He has such a badass name, but he's such a fucking reactionary shithead. I mean, but at least his name isn't as cringy as Dialectics Unhinged.
When he has no idea what dialectics even is.
I don't care. I'm gonna mock Dialectics Unhinged's name until like for as much as I want, because it's like it is something I cannot take seriously. I don't know if you guys watched that stream one time. Remember, I laughed so hard. People thought I was choking.
Yeah. Maybe someone should whisper to B Liberal's ear and be like, Oh yeah, by the way, the fourth position denies dialectics.
Yeah, it's literally like completely. It's anti-materialist.
Let's be
Like,
honest,
Yeah.
be liberal is a living fucking meme.
but I mean, you can't really expect him to know that because he never did learn what Marxism-Leninism was, and yet he's here
Well,
declaring that fourth position or the fourth political theory is like a higher stage of it.
his original avatar he had when he did Star Wars. You know, if you guys watched the 2D animated Clone Wars, was a Jedi that showed up for like a few seconds and got killed by General Grievous. Yes. Now that we got our laugh over the submarine situation and dialectics unhinged, we should continue what we were talking about before.
Oh yeah, with Wagner, the fascist mercenaries. I mean, from my point of view, because a lot of people will talk about like, was it really going to be a coup or not, and why is Prigozhin going to Belarus and all this? But like when I come kind of look at it, it's like what are the Communist Party in Russia doing? They're like tiptoeing the line. They do like a little tiny criticism of Putin, but they like support this whole fucking imperialist war. They're not like completely outright anti-Wagner. And it just shows that pathetic party is just a fascist party. It's even worse than the CPUSA just because they got like seats in the government. In that
they're literally as controlled opposition as it gets. Like they're the textbook definition of controlled opposition.
Absolutely.
I mean, they got Dugin's fascist ass like helping them with their fucking constitution or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, and they were just writing up anti-LGBT bills like this year.
that's definitely advancing the fucking class struggle.
Yeah.
Nothing says advancing the class struggle than oppressing the most oppressed people of the proletariat. Nothing says.
Yeah.
It's like it isn't much different than what the Nazis said about the Jews in Germany. There really isn't much difference.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there's an internal contradiction within the Russian imperialist system or the bourgeoisie. Wagner being a mercenary group, having its own agenda.
I mean, it was just a couple months ago that what was it, Dugin on his Telegram or something, like was hinting at like a possible coup of Putin.
Yeah, he was saying that like Putin needs to like step it up on the war, and something about like he did like a poem about a weak leader being like sacrificed, and then like last month he was saying that the whole Russian military should just be like based off of the Wagner, I don't know, with the Wagner structure or whatever. um, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and even when all this broke down just a few days ago, he was saying like, "Oh, I support Putin, but we gotta recognize the grievances of Wagner."
That's funny.
Yeah.
Now, okay, one thing we do got to address, though, I can't talk in depth because I'm not part of this community. There is pink imperialism that is being pushed. There is no denying that. Like, in order to downplay or just try to get people to not sympathize or empathize with the oppressed nations of, let's say, Palestine or Yemen.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you support these groups, but they don't support LGBTQ plus rights. It's like that. Okay, what of it? Not saying it's a good thing, but when you're being bombed, when you're being fucking massacred on a daily basis by an oppressor, the last thing the thing you're gonna be concerned about the most is survival.
Yeah. Plus, it also there's several things here. So First of all, it completely ignores. It treats these people as if they're a monolith. Like no people is 100% monolithic. There's differences in opinion in every nation, regardless. There's some people that are more behind everybody else. There's people that are more ahead of everybody else in certain issues. There's always going to be a reactionary and progressive section of each nation. First of all, so it's just completely ignoring those realities. Second of all, you also got to recognize the fact that the imperialists are very, very commonly, and especially in these cases as well, ally themselves with the feudal bloc. So there's a feudal imperialist bloc that has an alliance, and they typically do push really reactionary shit from the superstructure on downwards. So a lot of these things, naturally, we see, they eventually overcome those and become more and more progressive as time goes on. So as they allow the development of productive forces and allow their own national sovereignty, they typically, by their own accord, adopt more progressive views. Even countries that are still like less developed, but still more generally socially conservative, they are still typically more ahead of countries that are more feudal and less developed. That's just a fact.
Well, the thing is, I feel like the word reactionary, I feel like, because there's different kinds of reactionaries, because we can't just call everyone who isn't who doesn't 100% agree with us or doesn't share our views, in the same reactionary in the same way as someone. There's an example. Someone in Palestine who may have socially conservative views, yes, they do have reactionary viewpoints, but are they reactionary in the same way as the Zionist in Israel? Because I think there's a difference from a reactionary in Palestine and a reactionary Zionist.
Yeah.
I don't think they're even remotely the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, for people to like ignore the whole the universalization of culture and things like that, just completely ignore everything Marx even said in like the Communist Manifesto and elsewhere, like where we break down national barriers and stuff. Like they completely ignore this shit. I feel like a lot of these people that push this like bullshit, like uncivilized, savage, socially conservative garbage, they just don't even agree at all with Marxism. And there's a reason why they feel that they need to add like the opinions of literal fucking fascists and pretend that they're still upholding Marxism to continue their LARP as Marxists. Because in the Communist Manifesto, when we talk about the bringing towards a universal culture and stuff, we see this happening all the time. Like look at some of the more industrialized countries that are now capitalist imperialist countries, like Japan, and we have South Korea. Like all these places, they definitely have more of like a Western type of culture than the surrounding countries do. They're just more industrially developed. It's just a natural thing of how production universalizes. So along with it, culture also universalizes. This is stuff that's literally in the manifesto.
That is true. But I just feel like I feel like we have to be careful how we use the word reactionary, at least in my eyes, because not every reactionary thinks the same way. There's people who have reactionary views that hold also some progressive views as well. That's why I feel like it's kind of, what is that word I'm looking for? I'm sorry. Okay, I can't think of the word. Because there's
like for instance in the like there's different ways that someone could be anti-capitalist, and that's also something that Marx talks about pretty extensively in like the manifesto, and something that Dugin even talks about in Fourth Political Theory, where he criticizes Marx for attacking the other so-called anti-capitalists for being like more conservative and reactionary in terms of like moving backwards instead of forward from capitalism. They want to go back to like feudalism or have some type of neo-feudal fascist bullshit going on, like a return to traditionalism and all that. whereas
Right.
Marx he more wants to transcend the capitalist, by embracing the logic of capitalism to bring it to its natural conclusion. That's a criticism that fascists put forward to Marxism pretty often. In fact, what the hell was that one fascist's name on YouTube? Not Momsila, but the other one that is now like a Nazbol. Um, you know his name, Noob?
Um.
The one that was like with Matthew Heimbach at the fucking CPI conference or whatever, and is
I
now doing
can't.
like the
Oh
patriotic.
yeah, Zoltanus.
Yeah, Zoltan. It's like I think both him and Monsilo had made videos about how Marxism or Marx and Marxism like fails to critique capitalism or something like that. Like I'm pretty sure they both have videos like that, and they well, I disagree with them obviously that it fails to critique it, but their critique of it is basically that that instead of how like with them they are against all the logic of capitalism and they want to go back to how things were beforehand and go backwards, whereas Marxism is more of bringing capitalism and liberalism to its logical conclusion. So basically embracing all of that stuff because it breaks down national barriers and stuff like that. So they're against that stuff. Marx is for that stuff. I feel like a lot of these fourth political theorist type of people too, they embrace that type of shit too, the same way as all these other fascists do.
Absolutely.
It's funny how these so-called anti-imperialists, how they support Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
because China fucking did something to help end the, in quotations, the war with Yemen, what they did is basically made things even harder for the people of
Yemen.
They should look into what Lenin had to say about social pacifism and being against imperialist peace, because they got to know that at certain times in development of war, there is both a possibility of imperialist war and imperialist peace, because there are times when peace actually benefits imperialism. This being one of them in the case of Yemen.
But what kind of peace? But how is it? But if it's peace for like the aggressor nations, it's not really peace at all.
Yeah.
Right.
That's basically a contradiction. There is no imperialist peace is not really peace at all. But I know what Lenin actually means by that. It's peace for the imperialist countries, but not peace for the oppressed countries.
Yeah, that's basically the type of thing with social pacifists, that he is against the social pacifists as well, because that inherently implies they're against national liberation struggles. And obviously, when it comes to the issue of national liberation, we are for those types of wars, national liberation wars. So that's another thing why another criticism I have of the people who just are blanketly quote unquote anti-war.
Yeah.
But what does it mean to be anti-war? Like you what does it mean to be anti-war?
Yeah.
Because you have to define what does it mean to be anti-war. I'm against war, but what kind of war are we talking about though?
Yeah.
I'm not against all kinds of war. I'm for class war, but I'm against imperialist war, not wars of liberation. I think there's a fucking difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think you could truly be anti-war unless you're for the war of liberation. If you're not for liberation of the oppressed masses, then you are not anti-war.
Yeah.
You have to clearly define what do you mean by anti-war. Because there were Nazis in the United States that were anti-war, but they really weren't.
Yeah, think about that. Like during World War II, there was Nazis here in the U.S. that were against the U.S. being involved in World War II. So ironically, I feel like a lot of these fucking revisionist, opportunist, grifter pieces of shit around today would have that same position if they were around in World War II.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yep. Yeah, and this Kautsky like ultra imperialism theory is just bunk, and it has already gone through that.
Yeah, and that just shows their embrace for Trotskyism even more.
Yeah,
Well, is there really a difference between Trotskyism and Dangism? They seem it because all Trotskyists tend to be fucking former fucking. I mean, Dangists tend to be former Trotskyists.
Yeah, I mean, I have it as one of my slogans that Dangism is the highest stage of Trotskyism. So
Wasn't I the one that said that?
I don't know if you have. I've been saying it
maybe.
for a while. So
Yeah, I've always said that Titoism is the middle stage between both of them.
yeah. Tito, it's funny because Titoism, Tito, they did the same type of arguments that Vosh was doing like 4 years ago. Where he's talking
Right.
about like quote unquote practical Marxism.
What the fuck does practical Marxism even mean? What the fuck are you talking about?
For them, it just means the maintenance of fucking market relations, the maintenance of capitalism for the most part.
Or the productive forces, according to Haas.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even think he even knows what the fuck that even means when he like says it. It's like it doesn't mean what you think it means.
It's also like you should probably read Stalin's Economic Problems of Socialism in the USSR, where he literally has an entire chapter criticizing Yaroshenko for this specific thing with the theory of productive forces. He also talks about that in other areas too, like the relations of production are just as important as the productive forces. I'm pretty sure Mao talks about this too in on contradiction.
Right. And I hope I don't have to say this more than once ever, but like, Martin Heidegger is a Nazi, and you see anybody saying he can be a Marxist, they're full of shit. Need to be called out on or just outright fucking canceled.
I think it's hilarious and sad that these fucking clowns are trying to actually pass off like, oh guys, we need Nazis to understand Marxism in the West. Like you can't truly understand Marxism without the input of these fascists.
But Caleb Maupin, according to him, he's like the state is out to get him. Did you guys see that?
I'm pretty sure it was like after like somebody said like Burger King or something like that. He said like he tweeted out some like crazy shit where he was like they're out they have a plot to murder me or something like
Oh
that.
god.
Yeah, and someone called him out at like, what was it, the Left Book Conference? Somebody called him out for being a fascist in his face.
Really, I didn't even.
And yeah, and he went crying on his stream saying, "Oh, this is threatening," and
I never saw that.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if I know Chris Hedges has people of Antifa pay who basically have him on watch and let him know that.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
him being a fascist is not a surprise if you pay attention to his other fucking works, because the kind of bullshit that he pushes is the same shit that Lenin talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I learned that he denies historical progress, and I was like, "Ooh, it's a really bad sign whenever you just see anybody deny progress."
Well, there's like
it's
another
also
thing.
funny because like these idiots are trying to like combine Dugin with fucking Marxism, but like in fourth political theory, like Dugin literally says that like Marxism is against everything conservative.
Which it's fucking a fact. He's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like one of the rare times I agree with Dugin.
Now here's the thing: it's like a lot of times. Well, it depends on the fascist reader or writer that you're reading or whatever. But oftentimes, they do end up characterizing Marxism in a pretty accurate way for the most part, give or take. but they're just against it. That's the funny thing, though, because these clowns that will have you believe that we need these fascist thinkers to understand Marxism, like if you actually go out and read these people, because let's be honest, like these clowns that are pushing this shit know that most people are not going to actually do the fucking work and go out and read these idiot fascists to see what they have to say. If you actually do like spend the time to read them, you'll see very clearly that they are against everything about Marxism. So, like,
Absolutely.
to the extent that they accept Marxism, like they basically strip it from all of its actual content.
I actually
Absolutely.
hope one of these days Caleb actually does get punched by Antifa. It'd be funny of him bitching about it in a live stream. They were trying to kill me.
Yeah, punch with some brass knuckles and barbed wire.
They were trying to kill me. I need to hire some bodyguards now because I'm afraid of Antifa. Caleb Moffitt is such a fucking pussy. I'm just gonna say that he literally is a pussy. He's a bitch. I don't care if I use that word because that's exactly what he acts like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Oh, don't use your Second Amendment rights.
Remember when Caleb Moffitt fucking like there's that Empanada did a fucking show to he's in a documentary in Iran about him. It's like the music that plays when he's on screen. It's like, what the fuck is this? I literally can't take him seriously. I wish he was a joke, but he isn't. Unfortunately, he unfortunately he's a fucking person we have to call out because he literally from time to time because he literally fucking acts like a Marxist when he's a fucking fascist.
Yeah, definitely.
My biggest mistake was introducing Be Liberal to Caleb Moffitt. I should have never have done that. Because if it weren't for that, he would not have been as relevant as he was. Be liberal. And yeah, that was my idea for those who care to know of introducing Ewoks Unhinged to Caleb Moffitt. God, I can't believe I was in the same stream as Caleb. Ugh, God.
Yeah. There's this quote here from Fourth Political Theory that I found I'm gonna read here, and it's funny because like this just totally negates any type of notion that like Fourth Political Theory is a higher stage of Marxism Leninism, because first of all he outright says Marxism rejects conservatism in all of its forms. So here's what Dugan says here. He says, quote, "It is telling that the lion's share of the Communist Manifesto by Marx and Engels is devoted to criticizing specifically those anti-bourgeois political philosophies that differed from Marxism. First and foremost, those that are feudal, reactionary, and nationalistic. By doing so, Marx and Engels strove to emphasize that their communism was directed against the bourgeoisie in a manner different from the criticism by the right-wing anti-capitalists. In reality, compared to all the other reactionary and conservative projects, Marxism stands on the side of the bourgeoisie and seeks to bring its victory closer, since it translates into the narrative of historical progress and the logic of modernization. For this reason, Marxism rejects conservatism in all of its forms."
Oh.
So,
some
yeah,
truth makes the bullshit.
It's pretty fucking clear as day. Yeah. Duganism, like this Fourth Political Theory shit, it's not at all Marxist. Sorry to say.
Yeah, it's just fascism, really.
Yeah, I mean they literally say that Marxists are on the side of the bourgeoisie here. Like,
actually, we know what he's actually saying.
Yeah, and
he's
again,
the
reason he's saying here is that Marxists are like on the side of the bourgeoisie It's because we're for historical progress and modernization. Well, these people
Well,
are against
That's
all
not
of
what I'm
that.
talking about.
I wasn't claiming you were, but I
I
was
was
just stating it.
saying he was dog whistling
Hmm. Yeah.
because
I mean,
you
I would
know,
argue he's outright saying it. It's a-
yeah, he's basically saying the Jews
yeah.
because the stereotype about an anti-Semitic stereotype that Nazis use is Jews are rich. So he's basically using that the Marxists are on the side of the bourgeoisie. What he's really referring to is the Jews.
Yeah. Also, it's funny because they'll also try to deny that fourth political theory is like Nazbol in any way, but uh, like Dugin literally says in his fourth political theory that the National Bolshevik synthesis is the starting point of fourth political theory.
Yeah,
So like you can't have fourth political theory without National Bolshevism. So yes, it is Nazbol bullshit.
yeah, yeah. And one other thing, I get tired of like some of these gaslighting fascists. Like they'll be like, "Oh, but the Nazbol Party was left to Putin," and like their only reason is that like Edward Lemonov may have been bisexual or whatever.
That's the
And it's like,
dumbest thing.
seriously, it is. It's the dumbest thing ever.
So
And
wait, so a fascist being basically being on the left of Putin, and that's supposed to mean something?
yeah, I mean that makes it funny too as well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, there's another thing. I mean, this quote here just totally tears apart any notion that fourth political theory is not fucking Nas bullshit. So, and also that it's somehow materialist because it's not. So he says here, quote, if we free socialism from its materialist, atheistic, and modernist features, and if we reject the racist and narrow nationalist aspects of the third way doctrines, we arrive at a completely new kind of political ideology. We call it the fourth political theory, or 4PT. The first being liberalism, that we essentially challenge, the second being the classical form of communism, and the third being National Socialism and fascism. Its elaboration starts from the point of intersection between different anti-liberal political theories of the past, namely communism and the third way theories. So we arrive at National Bolshevism, which represents socialism without materialism, atheism, progressivism, and modernism, as well as modified third way theories. But that is only the first step. The mechanical addition of deeply revised versions of the anti-liberal ideologies of the past will not give us a final result. It is only the first approximation and preliminary approach. We must go further and make appeal to tradition and pre-modern sources of inspiration. There we there we have the Platonic ideal state, medieval hierarchical society, and theological visions of the normative social and political system, Christian, Islamic, Buddhist, Jewish, or Hindu. These pre-modern sources are a very important development for the National Bolshevism synthesis. Therefore, we need to find a new name for this kind of ideology, and fourth political theory is quite appropriate. So, literally, right there, I mean, he's talking about appealing to
Yeah,
pre-modern sources and medieval hierarchical society. Any notion of communism there is totally torn to shreds.
yeah, and
National
anybody
fascism, yeah,
yeah, and anybody trying to like promote Platonism or Neoplatonism, like you're just endorsing metaphysical or like what Dugan said, pre modern philosophy or whatever, and it's just ridiculous. Like we don't need that.
yeah. Also, it's funny. Like he basically has the same shit here as like the Nazi Maoism type of bullshit that was going
Wait,
on
what?
in Europe.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Nazi
yeah.
Maoism. It's like
What?
Nazi Maoism is like a meme ideology. It's basically just Nazis that believe in protracted people's war. Um, but it's also funny here because Dugin says politically we have an interesting basis for the conscious cooperation of the radical left wingers and the new right. as well as with religious and other anti-modern movements, such as the ecologists and green theorists, for example. So he's literally like saying we could work with like eco-fascists and like degrowth people. So like yeah, so much for all that other shit that they like fucking dog whistle about like LaRoucheism and all the degrowthers or whatever. Like he's literally Dugan's is literally calling for working with fucking eco-fascists and all these different types of people. So
Yeah, because Dugan believes that he considers like growth to be part of progress, so he's not into like unlimited growth or whatever LaRouche was promoting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the irony of it.
You're gonna have to come to a crossroads with that eventually. I mean, that point's probably never gonna even come anyway. Like their entire
Right.
ideology is just pure gibberish. Like,
I mean, fascism has always been a incoherent ideology.
yeah, it always has.
Yeah,
It's
because
never not
it's
been. That's why
yeah,
you never trust a fascist to define their ideology or to give a definition for fascism, because they always like lie and they always are dishonest and are willing to like bend the whatever principles they supposedly have, because they have none, because their ideology is vastly unpopular. Like, even because most people don't fucking want fascism. Let's just be real with ourselves. Not even the first world, most people don't want fascism. It's violent. It's destructive. That with that's what fascism is associated with. I mean, there's a reason why people associate fascism with violence, because that's essentially what it is. Though, of course, that's a simplification. What I'm basically saying, because there's different kinds of fascism. Not all fascism is Nazism. Like there's different kinds of violence as well. There's physical violence. There's systematic violence.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it's funny. Like, you listen to some of these fascists, like the type of shit that comes out of their mouth. It's just hilarious. Because, like Culture Doug, for instance, said like, well, fascism we're anti-modernity, but he also says like, I mean, he's not wrong to be honest. But he says in order to be anti-modern, you have to be anti-Semitic. So,
yeah,
I mean, I would agree with him there, but I'm not anti-modernity. So,
right. Yeah, I don't think any Marxist is anti-modernity. I mean,
yeah,
I
not any
mean,
actual Marxists. There's people that are fake Marxists that are claiming to be anti-modernity, but
right. Yeah, I mean, you could argue that like capitalism is ruining modernity, but that's like separate. But these people, that's not what they're talking about. I mean, they're talking about going back to a reactionary, or like what Dugan said, pre-modern civilization and all that crap.
medieval hierarchical societies. It's like, yeah, that's definitely
Yeah,
communism, bro. Definitely.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure Dugan also brings up Oswald Spengler multiple times in his work.
yeah,
I don't remember
yeah.
exactly what
He,
he says about it, but
yeah.
yeah.
Dugan claims that he endorses Spengler's cyclical history and definition
Yeah.
of civilization, which is not really. It's just, again, it's more anti-progress, reactionary stuff. And Heidegger was a fan of Spengler, so that's not a surprise there. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Spengler, by the way, for people that don't know, this we're talking about a guy so fascist that he said that Hitler's Nazism was too proletarian for him.
Even though Hitler was as anti-proletarian as they come.
yeah,
So a guy that's more fascist than Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, that's someone who Dugan's looking to for inspiration. Like,
Wouldn't Reagan and Thatcher also be more fascist than Hitler in some ways?
you could probably argue it. Yeah.
Well, in some ways, I can't. By the way, I'm trying to be correct, but I'm saying in some ways it seems that way, because they don't make it a secret what their ideology actually is meant for. Hitler at
Yeah.
least gave the illusion that the people of Germany would all be part of the Third Reich, not just certain sections of the German population. even though we all know he was the class he was, aiming for, Hitler couldn't basically do what Thatcher or Reagan did. It's only catered to us to a small section of the population.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
of which, neoliberalism is basically it's a dead ideology at this point. Well, it isn't dead, but it's basically on life support because there's nowhere for neoliberalism to go at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Like neoliberalism is a form of fascism, though it's not the same as Mussolini or Hitler's form of fascism.
Yeah, like they're eventually like it's gonna crack, and there's going to be they're gonna have to, if they want to stay in power and maintain the status quo, they're gonna have to embrace a passive revolution in the Gramscian sense. They're gonna have to do this like faux populist crap while maintaining basically the same order, but just a change. Basically, they're gonna remain the same in content, but they're gonna change their form. Basically,
I personally don't think we're going to get a Roosevelt this time or something like it. I think capitalism has basically run out of ways it could reinvent itself.
yeah.
I mean, fascism would not exist in the first place if capitalism had all these didn't have all these contradictions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna just maintain itself with the same like economistic bullshit. We're gonna keep on following one populism or the other, back and forth until we actually get a conscious vanguard to do something to actually push an actual proletarian revolution. Like other than that, we're just gonna have passive revolutions, which are not actually real revolutions, by the way. If we're talking about Gramsci,
Well,
it's just like a fake populist crap.
I believe we're beyond the point of no return when it comes to, because when you can't even get a Bernie Sanders in fucking office in America, someone who's basically the compromise candidate.
Yeah, I don't think if we get a populist leader, it's not going to be a left populist leader. Probably
No,
it's going to be a right populist.
But I'm saying
we can't
even get a compromise candidate like Bernie Sanders that would save the system ultimately. When you can't get someone like him, there's only one way this is going to go.
Yeah.
Whether Joe Biden wins in 2024 or
I highly doubt he wins. I'd be shocked if he wins.
Or not, one way or another, an open fascist will get into the White House. Whether it's by 2024 or 2029, 2025 or 2029. Either way, we're going to get an open fascist. Which one we're going to get, I cannot say. If Ron DeSantis or Trump, I'd say Trump is more likely, actually.
Yeah.
But if Ron DeSantis were to get the nomination, I think Joe Biden may have a bigger chance because of Ron DeSantis' reputation. Because Trump, on the other hand, I don't think so. He doesn't have as much baggage as Ron DeSantis has, because because he's associated with book bannings. That's like something that the Democrats will just roll around in their campaigns. Like, oh, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, every state in the country will be like Florida or some shit. They'll do a scare tactic. I think so. It would be in the Democrats' best interest if
yeah, but the thing is that that's a drawing point for a lot of conservatives. So
yeah, but conservatives are not the majority of the population, though.
Oh, I know, but that scare tactic is going to more be towards moderates and like right center of right people, whatever. Right of center, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I think Trump has a far better chance than DeSantis if he were to get the nomination.
Like what they would have to do, like you can't do this like centrist bullshit or try to pull from the right. Like if you want to beat the conservative, you can't outright the right. So like why they're not going to do it though. Like their best bet would to be putting up a left populist. but they're not going to do that.
No, they won't. They'd rather lose to a fascist than
Yeah.
have someone like Bernie Sanders, who, even though he's not even a fucking leftist, he's too far left in this country. That's what I said like earlier.
Yeah.
If
Well,
someone
yeah.
who's basically a centrist can't get elected in this country, then what hope is there for like a far right fucking fascist like DeSantis not getting into the White House?
Right.
And mind you, there's other candidates that are running. DeSantis isn't the only one.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of fascist possibilities for vice president as well.
Exactly. So
I got Carrie Lake floating around out there.
I mean, the Republican Party is basically a Nazi party at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I I encountered like one CPUSA member once telling me that the Republican Party isn't fascist because that's just like the minority or whatever. And it's just like, no, it's like, wake up.
The voters are fascists. I know. I've been around them in real life. The politicians are. I mean, for fuck's sake, you're having people in Texas passing laws to make it more difficult for disabled people to fucking vote.
Right.
Yeah.
When fucking the disabled are having difficulty being able to vote in states like Texas, when you have fucking politicians passing laws that basically denies freaking the existence of LGBTQ plus people, trans people, I'm referring to.
Yeah. I think. Wait, is the House Republicans now?
I don't even. It doesn't matter because it's the same fucking shit no matter who's in charge.
Yeah, I do think it's funny though that they pretty much haven't. They presented very little or pretty much nothing that actually benefits anybody's lives, and all they're doing is focusing on bullshit, fucking culture war issues and trying to make everybody's lives worse. That's pretty much been their focus, to make everything worse.
You have fucking people like Margie Taylor Greene openly spouting anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
It's like how is it not fascist when you have literal fucking Nazi rhetoric being spewed by fucking Republicans and Republican voters? Like Matt Walsh fucking in the Daily Liar literally said it was a good thing that fucking hundreds of millions
Daily
of people
Liar
were murdered.
I love that.
Or fucking Kanye West with his fucking pro-Hitler shit.
Yeah, that was wild.
And the amount of support he got from these fucking people.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much from Kanye West since he married that new white woman.
Or
she's chilling his ass out or something.
Or there's other things we could fucking talk about, like how Republicans basically vote against like making child marriages illegal, or openly talking about how child marriages should be a thing.
Yeah, these fucking people are. It's so fucking like hypocritical too, because they're the ones out here constantly calling like trans people or anyone that's LGBT in general like groomers and shit. But they're the ones out here like trying to advocate for fucking keeping child marriage legal. Like,
or the quartering giving advice to pedophiles: if you take your computer in to get repaired, remove every incriminating thing from your computer.
Oh God.
Yeah, then you got people like Crowder saying that he wants to go back to like this, like, oh yeah, he doesn't want women to be able to divorce.
Yeah, he wants to go no fault divorce and shit.
Yeah, like literally like some pre-enlightenment crap.
It's like how are Republican voters and Republican politicians not fucking fascists when this is pretty common?
Yeah.
I mean, these people are proud that they voted for people like Trump and Ron DeSantis, though Ron DeSantis doesn't have the same appeal Trump has.
Yeah, DeSantis was like, DeSantis was quote unquote joking about building a prison next to Disney World.
it's kind of an ultimate result of the fact that both parties have, in terms of like the big policies of economic policy and shit, there really is not that big of a difference between the two major parties. So they put so much more focus on like social issue shit. So there's a lot of these voters that are dirt fucking poor that don't give a shit about the economic positions oftentimes, and they'll vote specifically on like one issue or another issue, typically revolving around stuff like abortion or fucking CRT or
Yeah.
whatever now, LGBT rights and all this stuff. So like their whole fucking frame of mind is just completely focused on like one or two things, and they're usually things that are very stupid, like things that they shouldn't care about that other people are engaging in. Like it's kind of funny too. Like you're supposed to be all this like small government, like get out of everybody's lives thing, and then that's precisely what you're trying to do. You're trying to get in everybody else's lives, trying to tell them how to live.
Small government people don't actually believe in small government.
Yeah, they want very big government for people they don't like, and they just want to be left alone for themselves.
They want the power of the state to be used to reinforce their backwards ideology onto everyone else.
Yeah,
They're a minority of the population. They're not there is no such thing as the silent majority. That's fucking a crock of shit. That talking point needs to fucking die. There is no silent majority. There isn't one. It doesn't exist. Majority of the fucking of the population, of course, this is the optimist in me, so give me some credit here. Do not fucking want fascism. They don't want LGBT violence against trans people. They don't want women's rights to be rolled back. They believe fucking children should be left alone and shouldn't be. In fact, any sensible person would be against child marriages.
yeah.
It's like it's not that big of a percentage of the population that supports this shit. It only appears that way because the fucking people that support this shit are the loudest.
It's also very weird and creepy that like I think like I don't remember how many states. I think it was like 30 or like 35 states or something like that have age of consents that are like 15 to 16 and shit. And a lot of these conservative men are fucking creepy. Did you guys see that clip of Nick Fuentes where he was like talking about how he wants like a pure like 16-year-old or some shit like that?
He was like saying, "Oh, by the time I'm like 40, she'll be like in her 30s."
Yeah, that was such a creepy fucking clip.
Yeah, Matt Walsh saying that like 14-year-old girls should be focusing on having kids and
oh god.
Yeah.
And like I said, I will not be convinced that anti-LGBTQ people are not pedophiles. If you're so fixated on children, what is it that you're hiding in your closet? Are you sexually like molesting your own kids?
Yeah, for real. Like, what the fuck? I honestly believe they probably. I don't know if you ever like sometimes watch like those like catching a predator fucking, not like the Chris Hansen shit, but like the newer types of ones where it's like these YouTube channels that will like catch these predator dudes. I swear, 9 times out of fucking 10, whenever these people are caught, they're always conservative men. Always conservative men.
Of course they are.
Yeah, because like I have a work from home job, so sometimes I just like put random videos on in the background, or something, give me something to listen to. And there was a couple of there was like a 2-week period where I was just binge watching or binge listening to a lot of those, where they catch these fucking disgusting freaks and interview them and have the police called on them and catch these fuckers. But yeah, like 9 times out of 10, these dudes are super fucking reactionary, super fucking conservative.
Oh yeah, I was just reading the comments in the chat, and like the Arizona Supreme Court allowing the Mormon clergy to cover up child sexual abuse.
Oh yeah, I remember I sent that story to my brother when that came
So
out.
much for protecting the kids.
Yeah, they're not protecting nothing.
Yeah, so much for like separation of state and church. Now a fucking court is like giving the clergy a right to like not tell the cops shit. um, or hide documents of proof of the abuse.
Like I said, every reactionary is a pedophile, and I will not be fucking convinced that they're not. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, let me rephrase that. Every pedophile is a reactionary.
Yeah.
I have to rephrase it. Not all reactionaries are pedophiles, but all reactionaries are conservatives. Okay. Oh god, that was just awful. No, every pedophile is a reactionary.
Yeah. For those. Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Even the ones that like for try to give like a faux like liberal type of thing going on, they're usually like maps. Like the fucking people that like any fucking um pro LGBT or left wing or even liberal type of person with some sense very easily identifies these people and ostracizes them out. So because there was that, I remember what was it, a couple years ago when that whole map shit was going around, like they were trying to like have like these fucking disgusting freaks, these pedophile freaks, like added into the LGBT community. I don't know if you remember that shit, but eesh.
Wait, they were?
No, they were trying to be like included in LGBT, but the people that were actually in the LGBT were rejecting them as being.
Yeah, and radlibs are reactionaries as well. Like, don't get it wrong there. There's nothing there's nothing progressive about like radical liberals.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, if you talk to a radical liberal long enough, they'll start calling you a Nazi for being supportive of national liberation. Like,
Yeah.
If you talk to a radical liberal long enough, you'll start hearing them actually spout anti-Semitic rhetoric.
yeah,
Yeah, or you end up like Destiny, like supporting shooting protesters and stuff like that.
oh yeah.
Um,
I'm pretty sure he was like pro. What's this fucking that dude's name? That white boy that Jimmy Dore's a fan
yeah, Rittenhouse.
Yeah, there was like pro Rittenhouse too.
Yeah.
What is Jimmy Dore doing these days?
No, just being a fascist.
That's like
Yeah.
that's like a Tuesday, but I'm talking about what is he actually doing?
I mean, it's just the same thing. I mean, just jumping on this like populist bandwagon shit, red brownism. I mean, you know, it hasn't really changed really. It's hard for me. I haven't clicked on even a Jimmy Dore video in months.
Yeah, same. Thankfully for me, they don't come up in my feed anymore. I mean, I'm not even
Yeah.
up to the guy. Sometimes he would just pop up.
You know, one thing I really cannot stand is seeing Chris Hedge videos on my feeds.
I never get those.
Well, I'm subscribed to the Real News Network, so
Yeah.
I have multiple. He actually shows up on that show. I don't watch anything featuring him because I don't think anything that reactionary shithead has to say has any value these days. I know he may have had some good points in one of his books, in a few of his books, but overall, the guy's a reactionary shitlib.
I see him all over like other like news shows as like a guest and shit, but I never really looked into like his own thing. Like I see him on Democracy Now like all the time.
Democracy Now, ironically, one of the better outlets. I said one of the better ones.
Yeah.
They're not great, but again, they're certainly better than RT at this point.
Yeah, I kind of put them like around the same plane as Al Jazeera, but I do prefer Al Jazeera a little more.
Well, all these fucking networks suck, but we have to get the information somewhere.
Yeah.
I certainly don't trust CNN or Fox News or MSNBC.
Yeah. Yeah. I do find it funny that if you go back far enough in like the Fox News, like and their old ass articles, there's like old ass articles from the early 2000s where they reject that Venezuela was a socialist. We're like, so where's the socialism in Venezuela?
Right.
But then when
talking
shit
point.
hit the fan, there, then all of a sudden, oh, now it's socialist.
It's a convenient talking point for people that reject capitalism
Yeah,
because in increasing numbers, young people do not have any faith in the system.
yeah. I
Man,
know.
this reboot has been all over the place. It went from talking about the book bannings, me talking about my job, then we talked about the Wagner and Dugan and fuck.
Fascism and
Jesus. Is there a signal stream we have not talked about? We haven't talked about fascism? I don't think so.
no, I mean it's a pressing issue that's ongoing. So
Yes, and it's only going to get worse from here.
yeah,
It's like 2024 isn't going to be a fun time. I could tell you that much. It feels like I'll have to fucking keep up with what's going on with the elections more.
yeah. I'm guessing there's not going to be many Democratic challengers to Biden. So I mean they're just going to have that RFK dude who's a fucking idiot. No serious leftist should be supporting that guy.
Cornwell West. It's like why is he even running?
Yeah,
It just seems like he's running as a spoiler.
I don't think he's running as. I think he's just running for more money.
Probably he's an opportunist.
Yeah, because I mean, he's still running third party or whatever. I mean, he's not going to be much of a spoiler. We got to see like who the fuck the libertarians are going to put up as well. Because I mean, in these elections, the Libertarian Party does seem to get more votes than the Green Party for the most part. At least in the last couple elections.
Libertarian literally has no meaning because every libertarians are increasingly becoming fascists.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I do truly believe that if all the different parties or whatever, the smaller ones, were on equal playing fields with the Republican and Democratic parties, the Republican Party would probably like be in shambles because there's a lot of libertarians that just are in the Republican Party.
There's many libertarians that hate the Republican Party
Yeah,
because it's not right wing enough.
yeah.
Honestly, if the Electoral College did not exist, the Democrats and Republicans would never win elections. That's why capitalism elections are a sham.
Yeah. I mean, they used to not even have it to where fucking, people can vote in their like fucking representatives and shit.
Right.
They used to be picked by like the state legislature or whatever. I've actually heard libertarians call for returning to that type of system.
My libertarian coworker actually believes there shouldn't be a minimum wage.
Yeah, I've heard that really often.
Yeah, a lot of libertarians push that crap.
If
Yeah, it's
libertarians
like the libertarian argument in like the Denmark, Sweden, because a lot of the liberals bring up Denmark, Sweden, and all this shit. They get paid more. A lot of the response from libertarians is like, oh, but those countries don't have like a minimum wage. But then they just never even address the fact that they have much stronger union rights than we do. I mean, that's fine.
Let's be honest. There's a good reason why their policies will never ever been enacted. Because if a libertarian, if the minimum wage was abolished, the economy would fucking collapse.
I thought they actually tried the like libertarian policies like under Bush in like Iraq or Afghanistan. I don't remember which one it was, but I thought they tried it and like was an abject failure. I think they tried it in Somalia too.
It's just libertarians do not know anything about economics.
Yeah.
If you were to basically make it so employers don't have to pay their workers a minimum wage, what do you think they would do? Majority of workers would no longer be able to afford the products that they're being produced. They'd no longer afford to be able to pay rent.
Right.
And what happens after that? You basically have a crisis. What is that? What is that term?
A depression.
Yeah, you'd have a Great Depression in overnight if you enacted their policies. Libertarians do not understand economics, but yet they
Yeah.
claim communists don't understand economics. When communists probably understand economics better than libertarians do,
Yeah.
because for capitalism to function, there's a reason why libertarians are not listened to. In fact, let's be honest, libertarians don't believe majority of their bullshit that they say anyway. There's a reason why libertarians do not have any say in government. Because they don't know how to run a government. They wouldn't. Okay, let's just say you got rid of the minimum wage, you got rid of everything, got rid of all regulations. What would happen to capitalism? You essentially would turn the entire population against the system, like in a span of a few months.
I mean, it's pretty fucking funny because it makes for an easy coalition between mechanazis and libertarians because both of them believe that basically all countries are socialist. Because that's what the libertarians say. Like they believe that pretty much every country today is socialist.
Even though they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, like they're basically, you know how right wingers are always saying like, oh, the communists do the not true communism meme or whatever. Like libertarians are literally that for capitalists. Like they do the whole like not true capitalism thing.
Not to mention libertarians, like, are increasingly becoming open Nazis, and they won't say they are because they openly advocate for genocide against trans people. Yet
Yeah.
they call everyone else fascists.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about time for me to get to bed because I got work in the morning. So
I think it's about time this stream ends. So, any last words?
No, just that was a pretty good stream.
Yeah, I'm pretty good as well.
All right, this gone on longer than I expected. That the segment where I ranted about my job or talked about it, I can't say when I'll edit it as a separate video, but I will because so I don't ever have to talk about it again. So if anybody has any questions, what I think of my previous job, I'll give you a link to it. So when the edit is done, I'll give a link. Anyway, peace out everyone. Stay safe and as always, red salute.